Pisces. And I'm like, I don't know if you are.
When's his birthday?
March 16th.
March 16th. Hi, Sophie. You made it. Yeah, the March 16th would definitely be Pisces. Did he say
Oh, is
I'm a
it?
Pisces?
Okay, good. I don't have to rock his world too.
No, Pisces, Mom. That's so great. Well, I'm really glad you're here, Sophie. I'm glad you're here, Yola, Angelique, Nancy. Angelique and I were just talking about how the energy today was just like, what in God's name is going on here? Like I was like, it's just me. I'm working through my stuff. And then I was like, actually, I was like, no, I don't think so. And I was laughing. I was like, what's up with this on again, off again thing? It seems like one good day, everything's good, and then like, whoa, and then a good day, and then whoa. And it's like, okay, all right, we can do this, we can transform this, we can ascend through this. But I just wanted to kind of like say, if you had a challenging day today, you're not alone. And we will overcome. We will get through this together. And, sometimes when we start diving into this deep stuff, like our own astrology charts, right, which takes us back to the moment we were born, sometimes it can start to rock our world a little bit. Just a little bit, like start bringing awarenesses up and it's just a lot of energy. So thank you for getting on here and being present. And I wonder what amazing things we will discover. So I have this great story about today. So I'm going through it, right? I'm just like I woke up with this really deep issue that I've been working through. And I messaged Angelique and I was like, oh my God, this issue is so intense. So I was working through it and I literally decided to do the curse clearing. Remember the curse clearing that I shared with you all? I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So I did the curse clearing. After it was over, I felt so much better. And I was like, I need to go to the grocery store. So I walked over to the grocery store and had this total, it was like everything became totally synchronistic. I ran into this woman that I know who offered me this amazing opportunity. And so tonight I am actually broadcasting live from a recreation department here in the town that I live. And I got to witness all these children running around. Like it was like this magic gateway opened up after I cleared my energy and I felt so good. So at some point tonight, if you want to do the curse clearing, I'm happy to do that. Maybe when Angelique goes off, because I know she's like that. She's like, I don't want to do any more tapping. Um, but if you do want to do it, you just let me know. How was everyone else's day? How is everyone else doing out there? Anyone want to share how you are and where you're at? Exciting things, challenging things, any things? If you don't want to share, do you want to share? I don't know. How do you feel? What about have you been watching the recordings and have you had any like aha moments? Has anyone had any aha moments going on? Raise your hand if you'd like to share. Okay. So come on. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Ladies, we have to open up our mouths if we want to be heard. How many of you would like to be heard? Yeah, please. You can do
Oh.
this. Did you want to say something, Nancy?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Um, I've just been feeling so much more peaceful. Hmm? Uh, you know, I just gonna went about my day. And it just was very peaceful. And I went to the grocery store and there was a buy one get one free thing I wanted, and I went through the scanner, the grocery store, and it didn't work. And I said it was buy one get one free, and and she looked at it and saw that it was supposed to be something a certain thing. It couldn't be the other, and I really, really wanted the other one. And she let me go. She said, you can go ahead and have it. It's sweet. And then I went to a smoothie. I decided to have a smoothie, and the little kid was just so sweet, a little ginger guy that was just so absolutely adorable. It was just really a good day. So,
Fantastic, Nancy. Well, I bet
uh,
that's because last night you got really connected to yourself with that reading, right? You finally got to
I
feel.
think so. And I just before this happened, I got a phone call from my neighbor who had talked to me, and she said that she listened to what I had to say, and she found a policeman, and the policeman told her what she needs to do. And so it just really cleared up. It was awesome.
Yeah, right. When our energy changes, everything around us changes, doesn't it? Like our whole world. And so that whole
Yeah.
idea of what's
Mhm.
inside us is outside of us. So tonight,
Yeah, I just cleared it. Yeah.
day 4 of this astrological challenge, I'm super stoked you're all here. I would love to know at this point in the training, at this point in the challenge, are there any questions? Are there any things that you're still wanting to learn about? If we could go over or talk about anything tonight, what would that be? Yeah, I just want to hear from y'all where you're at and any thoughts or insights or things you wanted to learn about tonight that we haven't quite covered yet. Go ahead. All right. Did you want to share something, Karen?
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to go back and look at my screenshots from last night, but that's what I need to enter into my brain is just the small details. I got the pillars and the houses, but I haven't memorized all the symbols for the signs.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
just know a few of them, and I don't know all the other little tiny little
Things. Okay.
symbol things.
Awesome. Yeah. So would you agree that this life is a bit like a journey, right? It's a bit like a journey into greater and greater connection to ourselves. And there's challenges that come along the way. And so I thought tonight's class would be a cool way and call it the journey of the hero's journey. Right? You've all probably read that book. And the journey back to who we are can be fought with challenges and struggles and also glory and goodness and success and blessings. And so I wanted to take you through a little bit of a journey of what does astrology really represent, right? So we know what the chart is all about, right? It's about us standing on a horizon. We stand and we can all the things on the top of the horizon or what were there at the moment we were born up above us. And then everything below on the bottom half of the chart were the planets that were below us, right? They were kind of under the earth, so to speak, or whatever they were doing, Angelique. I don't know. I don't know quite what happens when those constellations go over the horizon. What happens? There's a bit of a mystery there and a bit of a debate amongst different groups of people. So I'm just going to leave it at some there, some we can't see. And those planets are known to be more hidden. The energies tend to be a little more obscure. So I think how we're going to start tonight's class is we're just going to go straight to the astrological chart of today. And we're going to talk about these energies, right? What could be causing fluctuations in the fours? What could be causing challenges? Let's just go ahead and get that chart up there. Let's make this real. So let's imagine you're going through your life and you're wondering, well, how can astrology be beneficial or helpful for me? Why might I want to know how to read a chart? And one of the ways that I personally find it incredibly beneficial is by being so feeling oriented, right? You have your feels, like you sense things, you perceive things. And then the chart is like the analytical mind giving you an explanation, helping you to rationalize what you're feeling, giving it a sense of explanation. And sometimes that can be really helpful, right? When you're like, I just don't know what to say about this feeling, right? I don't know. So this helps to give our mind something to grasp onto. And have you noticed that as soon as we give ourselves permission to grasp onto, something to grasp onto, give us an explanation, we're able to overcome the challenge. Have you noticed that? It's like that moment of aha gives us that permission to release and to let go and to transform. Hi, welcome, Christine. Welcome. Yeah, so happy you're here. You know, I had our beautiful friend Alex, who was on the call yesterday. Her sister wrote me and she's like, Lotus, my sister loves your course because I'm friends with her sister. She's like, she is so into it. I think she has talent for it. And I was going to tell all of you, I think that all of you have talent for it as well. And I'm like really impressed with this group here. I did set the intention. I wanted to attract people who would be possibly using this as a skill, especially people who want to make a business out of astrology, because I've been doing it and you can go anywhere, you can be anywhere, you can meet strangers. One day I was at the restaurant and I had just signed up my first student for my first training or my second training. And I was so excited that I'd signed this person up that I sat down next to this group of young people and I said, hey, I'm excited. How are you guys doing? And they were like, hey. And then it's like, oh, what? I was like, yeah, I'm teaching astrology. Like, astrology? I said, yeah. And so I ended up giving them a spontaneous sidereal astrology reading in the restaurant. All three of them. And then I got like Venmoed money. And I was like, I just went out to dinner and my dinner got paid for by complete strangers because of what I do. And I was like, that's a cool perk, right? Like your work can enable you to, this work can enable you to open doors, talk to people, go places that you would never have imagined. You know, the astrologers of the rich and famous, that's a thing. Okay, that is a real thing. And actually one of my students, that's her goal. She's like, I want to work with the really famous folk, and she's over in the UK. So I think she's going to make it happen. I was like, I see that coming in your future. It's really cool. So anyways, I'm happy you're all here. I'm excited because I see your talents and your abilities, your combination. Each of you seem to have a very good combination of intuitive wisdom, which is so key, and also intellectual wisdom, right? Where you can dissect or analyze or compare, use your mind. And so astrology is really, being a great astrologer is really a beautiful blend of those things. And now diving into the whole concept of what are the houses, we have the definition of what are the houses, right? And we have these definitions: a building that serves as living quarters, a shelter or refuge, a natural covering. And then in astrology, one of the 12 sectors from which the celestial sphere is divided, right? Some are above and some are below. Awesome. So now we're going to begin. So, you know, we talked about this, right? We talked about the ascendant, the 4 pillars, the Imam Kweli, the 7th house in the midheaven, right? As the cross. Does anyone remember what other thing these 4 points relate to in terms of the bigger cycles of the year? Okay. So they relate to this. Go ahead, Karen.
The seasons?
Yeah, they relate to the solstices and the equinoxes. So the ascendant relates to the spring equinox. The Imam Kweli relates to the summer solstice. The descendant relates to the autumnal equinox. And the midheaven relates to winter solstice in terms of what constellation is up there in the sky at that time. So at the winter solstice, the sun is in the end of Sagittarius or the beginning of Sagittarius. And so that is similar to that 9th house energy up near the top of the chart. So now we're going to launch into the journey of the astrological chart. And we're going to go really slow and really going to do a lot of chart investigation with each other here to make it really real for you all. Life is a journey, not a destination. And that's really what the astrological chart is it's a journey. It's a pattern, and it begins with the first house. It begins with the sunrise, right? And then it rises up to high heaven, noon, comes down to sunset, and then to midnight. And so this journey is similar to our own life. We're born, we grow older, we reach our ascent, we come back, and we return back to the light. And so the astrological chart is descriptive of our life pattern, with Aries and the ascendant marking the beginning of life, birth. Right? So I want to invite you all to get cozy and comfortable as we begin this journey into the houses, into what they mean, and utilizing them to guide us ever deeper into our purpose and why we're here. Why are we here? We're here to know ourselves better. And that's really what the astrological chart is all about. So the astrological chart is a lot like this map that is the hero's journey. So the first step in the hero's journey is a call to adventure. Now, we'd have to move these points to match the astrological chart. So I would put this call to adventure on the first house. And I put supernatural aid on the second, crossing the threshold on the third, etc. Right? So I would move where those things are. But the chart is like that. It's a journey. It's an adventure to yourself. Right? It's a compass. It's here to guide us. Right? We have a map. Isn't it interesting how the astrological chart kind of looks like a compass? Yeah. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to dive into this compass. There is one quality which one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants and a burning desire to possess it. So, the astrology chart is a tool to assist you in defining your purpose, to become definite with your purpose, and thus have an ease with creating a burning desire to possess it. Powerful, powerful. So here we go. We're going to begin with the first house in astrology. And we're going to explain it, and then we're going to bring up a chart and look at someone's first house and talk about it. So we already have the ascendant, right? That first point. And then we have the rest of the first house to look at now. So the first house is the house of self, the house of identity. It's the house of appearance. There's a mantra for the first house, which is I am. Right? The mantra for the first house is I am. I am. I exist. I am. Right? Just like a newborn baby there's no other purpose for them except their existence, right? They're singular. I am here, right? I am birthed, right? That first house represents the identity. It represents the self. Yeah. So I'm happy to be me. I may not be perfect, but I'm honest, lovable, and happy. I never try to be anything that I'm not. And I'm not here to impress anyone else. I am me. That is the energy of the first house. So whatever sign that you have there, it's going to be very self-focused, very strong energy, strong sense of identity. The first house relates to birth, relates to that first beginning moment, right? And I went through and I looked at pictures of babies that were born in hospitals, and I looked at babies born at home. And you know what? It was kind of surprising, or not really, but the babies born at home looked so much more peaceful and so much happier and so much more relaxed. It was like, wow. It's like, it's what you would think, but it was still very surprising. Yeah. So it's also ruled by a couple of things. So does anyone know, I'm sure you'll be able to guess, what planet rules the first house?
The sun.
No?
Oh,
Anyone
I
else?
did it in mine.
Right.
Is it,
Right.
sorry,
Oh,
is it Mars?
yeah. Yeah. And does anyone know what sign?
Aries.
Aries. Yeah, so no, now does everyone have Aries rising on the earth? No. And this part gets a little confusing. Like, why is the first house associated with the sign? But essentially, they've just placed the zodiac signs in the area of the chart that make the most sense. And if the ascendant and the first house are related to the spring equinox, yeah, then the sign that they saw 2,000 years ago on that day was Aries. That was the sign that was there on the eastern horizon at the equinox. And so that's what they placed on the first house, was Aries. That was the beginning of the zodiacal wheel of the constellations. And so to this day, the first house is related to Aries. And it's related to the planet Mars. Anyone want to share or talk about what Aries is about, what Mars is about? What are those energies like? Anyone?
Is Mars masculine?
Yes. Kind of easy to see there, right? With that pointy tail. It's just like, yeah, it's masculine. It can be, one of the ways I like to look at Mars is its energy. It's energy. It's how we do, it's yang. It's like the most yang planet, which means masculine. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm having a little hard time with that being my ascendant.
Oh.
Yeah, I am. I'm having a hard time wrapping around that.
Well, my sun sign is in Aries, Nancy, so I get it. And Mars doesn't have to mean penis, okay? I mean, it's easy to look at that symbol and think penis, right? And so in my first master class, we came up with this joke that Mars is like the banana. And it was super funny. It was like, think about a banana. You got, you walk into the room, is this a stick up or you have, what is that? It's a banana. Now, it doesn't have to be, right? As women, do we sometimes need to take action? Like, we don't just spend our lives laying around and painting our fingernails, right? We take action. We go to the store. So that energy of getting in your car and driving to the market, that would be Mars. Right? That energy of deciding to lead a course. Mars relates to leadership and action and energy. Mars, leadership, action, energy. It doesn't have to be masculine because we are both. So there's a difference, right? Male, female genitalia, right? Or male or female energy. Would you agree that we both, men and women, male sexuality, female sexuality, we both have masculine and feminine energy, right? Sometimes some women are incredibly masculine and they're still women. They're just very assertive, right? They have lots of leadership energy. They take a lot of action, right? So Mars is really just about our power to act. And so in a way, Nancy, it's kind of a blessing you have that power, because otherwise with Taurus is the cow lazily strolling in the field, chewing on grass, enjoying the sky and the flowers and enjoying themselves. Maybe you'd never get anything done because you'd just be so relaxed all the time.
The one thing I noticed is that my body is not a Taurus body, really. My
Yeah.
daughter has a Taurus body. She's very shapely. She's got these beautiful, beautiful, her husband loves her shoulders, She said, I don't care what the wedding dress should like, but I want to see the shoulders, I do not have that body. I have more like a very well, look at me. I'm kind of straight. I mean, I do have a little shape on my hips, but I have a more of an athletic build.
Right. And that would
So
be that Aries
yeah.
there.
So
Yeah.
that's what I saw. It's like, okay, well, I can accept that. And
So,
I like the idea of, being able to be powerful. That's true. I mean, I've
yeah,
been working on that for years, actually.
right. Yeah.
Um, yeah. And leadership is something I have always been interested in, although I am normally kind of quiet about doing that, you know.
Right.
Like I'm not the very first person. I'm not the one that's the showy person,
Right.
but I really want to see things happen.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, because you
And be
would be,
involved.
you're the last degree of Aries rising, right? So you wouldn't be the very first, right? I'm 2 degrees of Aries. I have to remember that not everyone is 2 degrees of Aries. I'm like, let's go, let's do this. I'm ready, let's act. And everyone's like, so trust me, there's challenges on either end of the spectrum. If
Okay.
you're slow to act or take action versus being very quick to take action, right? There's positive
Yes.
in all things. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay.
now we've gone into the first house, right? Now I want to bring up our charts, right? So maybe we'll talk to Sophie because she is here. I'm glad you're here. And so, right, she has her ascendant 34 degrees of Taurus, but then she has tons of Gemini in the first house, and she has her moon in Gemini. Anyone want to speak to what they think that might mean? If the moon is emotion and Gemini is communication and expression and learning, what might that mean for her? Even though she has Taurus, how might that show up for her?
Is the moon intuition and feminine energy?
Yeah. Yeah. So how would that mix with Gemini if moon is intuition and feminine energy, but it's in the sign? So we have the first thing. We have the house. It's the first house. It's identity. Now we have the second thing. We have a planet. Now we have a third thing. We have the sign in Gemini. So the house of identity, the planet of emotion, the sign of learning. What might that put together for her? Anyone want to attempt to create the cocktail of the first house energy that Sophie is vibrating? Yeah, go ahead, Nancy. Can't hear you.
Can we look at that other little sign? I'm fascinated.
The secret magic sign.
Yes.
I'm not gonna go deep into it
Not now.
because
Okay.
it's an
Alright.
asteroid. But I will say it's magical. And if we
Okay.
do more studying together, I will share more about it. It's
Okay,
very
thank you.
magical. Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Christine.
I'm wondering, I mean, again, this is obviously just a guess, so I'm wondering if Sophie, when she walks into a room, people will be automatically drawn to her because she's got that well, she loves to learn and she obviously, right, with Gemini, so and the moon together, so that tells us that she's passionate about learning. And so when she walks into a room, she's there to learn or she's there to teach because she's communicating. That's her way of communication too, it looks like, maybe. But with the Taurus there too, she's got, I'm guessing when she walks into a room, people just see her as a very grounded and just a beautiful soul with a lot to share and a lot that I can learn from.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So I would add, think about the moon for a minute. Isn't the moon like incredibly reflective, right? It's like it very much reflects as opposed to illuminates. Like the sun is illuminative, right? The energy comes out of the sun at us. It's very yang. Whereas the moon is the opposite of the sun. It's very reflective. So the moon is going to symbolize very yin energy, very receptive energy. So whereas the sun in the first house would depict someone who wants to teach and give, the moon is going to depict someone who likes to receive knowledge. They're very receptive. They're someone that people feel like they can open up to and give them knowledge and give them information because they're very good at receiving. So she might be someone who people feel really good talking to, right? Because Gemini is communication.
Mm-hmm.
Moon is reflection, and it's also nurturing and support. So she's someone that you immediately want to share your life story with. I would imagine that Sophie's had people open up to her about things immediately upon meeting her that she may have been like, wow. Someone that people feel very comfortable talking to and sharing their story with. So a very good listener, right? Very good listener, good receiver of information. I wouldn't see her as much of an active giver of that information because the moon is a receptive planet, a receiving planet. And with the Taurus is more yin as well. Taurus is good at maintaining and creating structure, and not so much about starting new things or initiating new things. They're really good at sustaining friendships, maintaining friendships, but they not be like super into starting new friendships, right? But with the moon in Gemini, she's open to it, but she may not be the person to make the first move, right? She might be really receptive to receiving offers of friendship and like to receive it from lots of people, but she might be more receiving that offer as opposed to making it. Sophie, do you want to share how all of that lands? Any feedback for us?
Yeah, it's so true. So I am a good listener, and people like to share their stories and their problems, and
Too
I
much
don't-
sometimes, huh?
And I do like to listen, but I don't really like, not always. I don't really always feel the urge to do the talking or to talk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer to listen.
Yeah.
And on the like concerning the Gemini moon, I really love to learn. So like the possibility to learn new things or to get better at things really give me more life energy. So this month I started taking language courses. So I
Oh, yeah.
restarted, taking English and French courses. And I also started the astrology course, and it really like I'm loving my life. So
Awesome.
it really
Yeah.
gives me like motivation and energy in my life. So
Yeah.
it's so true.
Yeah. It is. I mean, I'd say Gemini of all the signs is going to rule language. Language, especially how we speak, how we communicate, the nuances of language, right? Like all the little details of it, like syntax and grammar and all those tiny little things. Gemini loves all the details, all the components of learning. They love every part. And with the moon, it's emotional, right? So she's like emotionally nourished by learning. And
Yeah.
it's a receptive energy with the moon. So she really likes to go and receive that knowledge and that information, as opposed to, where I'm out here and I want to share my information. She's like really wanting to receive information. And that's a difference a lot of times in people's astrological chart. Are they more receptive or are they more of a transmitter, right? Are they someone who wants to transmit out more yang, or are they someone who want to receive in? And looking at the planets, it tells you a lot. Now, if we wanted to see where she was more active and receptive, or I'm sorry, active and like assertive, we would find her Mars, right? So another thing we can look at with the first house is the sign that's there. The sign, sometimes there's more than one. So she has Taurus and Gemini. Then we look at the planets, right? She has the moon. She has this other magical asteroid that's very special. It's called the white moon of Selene. And it's like a magical blessing asteroid, which bestows fortune, good fortune, and it's like white light, good white, beautiful white light. It's a healing energy, the white moon of Selene. So having that conjunct your ascendant is really beautiful, especially there with the moon, which is nurturing and nourishment. And then you have the white moon of Selene, and you can kind of see it in this beautiful photograph of her. She looks like a goddess, she looks like this like lunar goddess to me, like very lunar energy, very water and earth energy with the moon there. Yeah. But the third thing we can look to, right, and we just talked about this, is that the first house is ruled by what planet?
Mars.
Right. So we can look for her Mars to find out more about her identity. Okay. And so she has Mars in Virgo in the third house. Well, guess what house the third house is? Gemini. The third house is Gemini's house. So not only does she have her moon in Gemini, but then her action energy, her Mars, is in Gemini's house. So she loves to take action and she gets energized through learning. That's the third house. It's all about learning. And it's in the sign of Virgo, which is health and healing. So she loves things that are about health, that are about healing, that are about analysis and details. And she's very meticulous. She's very clear. Purity is emphasized with Virgo. So that would be purity, action, and learning. Right? And it matches up, doesn't it? It just fits somehow. Yeah. And if we wanted to go a step farther, we could look for the ruler of Gemini, the ruler of her moon. Well, what sign rules Gemini? Does anyone remember? What sign rules Gemini?
Is it Mars as well?
Planet.
No.
It's the other M.
Mercury.
Mercury, yeah.
Mercury.
Yeah, the god of communication and transport and information. So now we go on a hunt because we want to know more about her moon sign. And we find Wow, that's a lot of Sagittarius, my friend. We find her Mercury in Sagittarius. What is Sagittarius? You know, when you see that many planets, you just got to kind of stop and go, okay, Sagittarius factors a huge, and that's what you said. It's like, what's Jupiter about? And you're like, Sagittarius energy. And I was like, yes, and well, you have Jupiter in Sagittarius. Look at that. And you have the sun, you have a bunch of asteroids, you have Mercury, communication, you have Jupiter, expansion, you have Neptune, spirituality, and it's all in this gigantic seventh house, which is your partner. So this could mean having a foreign partner. Do you have that? I think you kind of have that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you have that many planets in Sagittarius in the house of partnership, it can mean having a partner who's foreign, from another place, from another land. Having the sun there can mean that they shine really bright. Big bright energy, which I know your partner and it's true. He shines really bright. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
amazing.
think he has like some I think he has some kind of fifth house placement. So
Uh-huh.
I think he
Oh,
has the
right.
same, yeah, he has the same placement as Kevin Trudeau, which is the
Right.
like he shines really bright
That's right.
as a
That's right.
Leo. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. That was so cool going over that chart. And I worked with him the other day. He gave me a session, which was awesome. And I could just so see his potential. I was like, wow, like he follows this work, he's really gonna grow into his greatness, right? His light. And so that's going to be part of your relationship, is having this really bright partner who shines really bright. And sometimes it can be like, whoa, I have this placement too. And when our partners shine really bright, I'd be like, wow, that's a lot of light, you know? Like, okay, you're trying to find yourself and your partner. It's really interesting having the sun in your seventh house. We'll see if anyone else has that going on. But her Mercury is in Sagittarius in the house of partnership, and that's the ruler of her moon. So not only does she love learning, it's emotionally nurturing, but it also is this higher level information that she loves to learn. She loves the details and the practical and like language, but she also loves higher knowledge, because Sagittarius is all about higher knowledge, like astrology and philosophy and learning about the world, right? Learning about foreign places and foreign religions. That's another thing. Spirituality and religion, philosophy, things of the mind, things of higher education. Like you're always going to love schooling and learning, right? And learning more. That's something you're always going to be drawn to. Definitely. Woof. A lot of information here. Any thoughts, any questions, any feedback to clarify, or awarenesses you've had? We're just trying to show all the things you can do to focus in on that first house. So one, you can look at the ascendant. What sign is it? You can look at what other signs are in that house. Okay, a lot of Gemini. Noted. Okay. She's got her moon there. Okay. So yeah, any thoughts, any ideas anyone is having about this, or feedback?
I have a question.
Yeah, bring it on.
What is, okay, you got the AS and then that asteroid thing and then the moon, and what is the SIR, or the yellow underneath the blue
Yeah.
one?
Well, the AS is ascendant.
Got that.
This is the white moon, Selene. It's an asteroid. The moon and Sirius, the fixed star Sirius. Now, be easy on yourself and don't try and memorize too much at once, right?
Right.
I I look at everything, so I've been doing this for so long, and I was like, I'm not going to take it off. They can just be excited and inspired to learn about it, right? But it is a lot. It's a lot of new stuff. So don't feel like you have to learn it all right away. Okay.
No, I'm just trying to get familiar with it.
Good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. All right. Any other questions or thoughts or feedback? Ideas? How does that land for you, Sophie?
Yeah, it's so accurate. And I find the fact that I have the moon in the first house, could it be that I'm more introverted? Like
Okay.
on the outside?
So I actually have my moon in the first house too, Sophie. So I've been contemplating the moon in the first house for a long time, and what does it mean? And one of the things that they say about moon in the first house is that you wear your heart on your sleeve. Like you can't hide your emotional state. It's impossible. You can try and put on a front, but it's like your emotional nature will just reveal itself no matter what you do. And so it's a little bit, can be challenging sometimes when you're just trying to, be you. So so the moon, so astrology is really straightforward. Think about the moon. What does the moon do? It waxes and it wanes. So when the moon's in the first house, there's a tendency to be very moody, to be changeable. And Gemini is very changeable as well. It's the twins. So it's like having two different perspectives all the time, two different parts of yourself that are looking to integrate and have their expressions be shared. And so the moon in the first house can be very moody. It can be very changeable. Like you might feel one way, one moment, and then change. And this could go on and on. Luckily, you have Taurus on the ascendant, so that helps give you a little stability in your demeanor, in your physicality, in terms of what you look like, and your physical build, and your physiology, because the first house relates to our physiology as well as our appearance. So that's a blessing, I think. It helps to create a container for the lunar energy of you that likes to flow and change and learn lots of new things. So it's changeable, it's emotional, and it's very revelatory. Like you tend to kind of not hide things. Like you're very much an open book. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, isn't this wild? I mean, it's just so
It's
wild.
crazy.
It's so wild every time. It's so neat to get to share it with you all that this is what you can reveal with this system of astrology. Okay. So now we have an assignment. Oh, Christine, go ahead.
I'm just wondering like in her first house, she's got the ascendant, she's got the moon, and then the asteroid, and then the fixed star. And I'm curious about how much influence asteroids and fixed stars have on the chart, especially in the first house. The planets got the most energy, right, inside the chart.
Mhm.
But are they just like adding flavor, or is it more than that?
It's a really good question, and there's a lot of debate about this. It's a lot of debate out there about asteroids and how they affect the chart. I think that each asteroid has its own unique vibration, and just because it's smaller than the planet doesn't necessarily mean that its effect is less than a planet. It's all vibrationally based, right? So Chiron, for instance, is an asteroid, but I cannot tell you how many times I go into the sign of Chiron with people and they start crying. They start crying like it's like I'm hitting a deep nerve here. Okay. And it's an asteroid. And so I'm convinced that these asteroids have quite a bit of power, right? Even if they're smaller, I mean, on a vibrational level, they're smaller. They're not as dense. They're higher vibration, actually. They're a higher vibration. Some people say that like they're the next octave. Okay. So yeah, in my training, I'm going to include a class on the asteroids. And it's going to be fun. We're going to rock out with the asteroids, and by the way, my course is going to be starting in the next week or two. I'm getting excited. I'm actually going to put more into this course than I've ever done before. So whew, it's pretty exciting. But I will give you one of the asteroids tonight. Okay. And so one of the asteroids that I will share with you is A0. And A0 is called Psyche. Psyche. Okay. And Psyche is the higher octave of Venus. Pretty important for women to know about, isn't it? Yeah. They say that Venus is more of the physical, material goddess of love, right? You know, the one who has sexual desires and she's likes beautiful things and clothes and, you know, a beautiful time at a romantic dinner, that kind of Venusian energy. But they say that Psyche is more of the energy of the higher evolved spiritual energy of love that's feminine. So refined, feminine, spiritual love. So when you have Psyche aspecting like a lover's chart or a friend's chart, there can be a really strong love connection between the two of you, like a higher love, right? The sense of this pure love. And there's actually a beautiful mythology about Psyche in the Greek mythology. Beautiful, but it's pretty deep. Y'all want to hear it or should I save it for another time? You want to hear it? Okay. So this is my favorite Greek mythology story of all time. It's my favorite one. If I'd known I was going to tell it, I would have put up some slides. But Psyche was the most beautiful, like, princess in all the land. She was gorgeous. She was so beautiful that her townspeople and village people started to worship her above Venus, the goddess Venus, right? So Venus was one of the goddesses and she had a temple and everyone worshiped her and brought her food and obedience and all of that. But Psyche was so beautiful, this young woman was so beautiful that the people started to worship her. Now, Aphrodite, Venus, the goddess of love, grew jealous. She's like, oh my God, what are you doing? Where's my tribute? Right? And so what she did is she commanded that they take Psyche to be married to a monster and maybe eaten, maybe killed, we don't know. So they set up this funeral march to take her. It's sad, everyone's weeping and crying, and it's like they're marching her off to death. Horrible, right? And so they take her up to the top of a rock, top of a mountainous ledge, and this invisible being comes and takes her away. And everyone's crying and wailing because they think this giant monster is just taking her away. She's taken to a beautiful castle. She can't see this being. She's being carried through the air to another dimension. She's taken to this castle where there are invisible servants that attend to every need she has. They feed her, they, you know, give her beautiful baths. It's a palace. It's a beautiful palace. Now, what had happened? Hold on one moment. Yes?
Sorry, where's
Okay. Thank you. I'll just leave the door locked here and there.
the problems already locked.
Okay. Thank you, Mario. Have a good night. Thank you for holding. So essentially, what happens? Aphrodite had asked her son, Cupid, the god of love, her son, to go and take Aphrodite and kill her. But when Cupid saw Aphrodite, or Eros, when Eros saw Aphrodite, saw Psyche, he didn't want to kill her. He fell in love. He got plucked by his own arrow, poked by his own arrow, right? That image of the angel going around shooting the arrows of love at people. Well, Eros got pricked by his own arrow, fell in love with Psyche. And so he spirited her away to his castle, and he said, "You must never look upon me while I sleep." And so they were married and they were together in all ways, but she couldn't ever see him. So she didn't know who he was and thought he was a monster. Scary, right? So she was very happy. She's finding herself falling in love with this hidden monster that she doesn't know what he is. And she says, well, can I talk to my sisters and my family? Can I let them know that I'm okay? Because they all think that I died. And he says, okay. And so he finds a way for her to communicate with her family. I don't know how, some magical ancient telephone maybe. And so she says, everything's fine. I'm very happy. And they're like, but who is this being? Like, we thought we'd given you away to a monster. So they say, you got to look at him. You've got to look at him. And so they concoct a scheme that she'll light a candle when he's asleep to see what he looks like. So one night after he's fallen asleep, she goes and she lights a candle. She lights it, and all of a sudden she sees the most beautiful, angelic being she'd ever seen in her life. And in her awe, a little drop of candle wax, hot candle wax, falls onto his sleeping naked chest. And he awakens. I told you never to look at me. I told you you could never know who I was. Whoa. Maybe speak to men not really wanting to be seen fully, right? And so he leaves. He leaves. He says, I will never see you again. And she's heartbroken because not only had she begun to fall in love with this man, this being, but now she knows that it was okay to love him. It was okay for them to be together. He wasn't a monster. Oh my God, she says, I've made a mistake. So she rushes to Aphrodite, his mother, and says, please, please, Aphrodite, please help me get back the man that I love. I love your son, please. And Aphrodite is still pretty pissed at her for being so beautiful that the villagers were worshiping her and not Aphrodite. And so she is like, well, I will connect you back with my son. But first, you must do these 10 or 20 or 30 tasks that are impossible. You must go to this island and collect this golden fleece, which if they wake up, they could kill you with their rams, right? You must go do this thing. You must go down into the underworld and get this thing and bring it back. And she's like, okay, anything. I will do anything. I will do anything. And so she sets off, not knowing how she would do any of this. She didn't think she could do any of it. She didn't know how. But her heart was so open to the universe. She was so in love. And she had such a deep desire to be reunited to that love in her life. And all of a sudden, as she set out to do all these tasks, everything conspired to help her. From the ants on the ground, to the wind in the trees, to the waves and the water of the ocean itself. Absolutely every single living thing assisted her with every part of her tasks. The ants carried the pieces of fleece to her. The birds helped her separate the grains. All of these difficult tasks she was set, the entire universe supported her with. And after some long, intense, focused time, she had completed every task. And she returned back to Aphrodite, the goddess of love, the mother of her beloved. She said, I did it. I did what you asked of me. And the mother said, shocked, Aphrodite, shocked, had to acknowledge that she had done everything. And so she made Psyche a half immortal so that she could live in Mount Olympus, the heaven, the god, the land, the home of the gods, with Eros, the beloved. And they were reunited and lived happily forever after. Now, this is probably the only story in Greek mythology that's happy. And so it really has stuck with me. And so wherever you have Psyche in your chart, that A0, I wish they used a different representation, like a heart. It's so beautiful. It shouldn't be somewhere else. And it relates to psychic love. It relates to psychic connection. Yeah. The same time that Psyche relates to that psychic love and psychic connection, the white moon of Selene relates to spiritual gifts with using energy. Spiritual gifts with using healing. White light, moon of Selene. Powerful talisman. It's a powerful asteroid. So, beautiful story, huh? Love that story. Anyone want to share how that story, if that moved something in you? Brought something up, gave you an idea.
It brings up a question.
Yeah.
And that's like, for Sophie, we're looking at her psyche in the third house of communication. Does that mean that, or I guess just what does that mean? That she might be attracted to somebody whose sun sign is in the third house, or how does that manifest?
Well, you look at the house and you look at the sign. So it's the third house of communication. It's the sign of Leo. And it's love, it's higher love. So she's going to oscillate. She's going to vibrate a type of purity or this ability to communicate in a loving way and shine as she communicates. So she's able to be lovingly shining as she communicates. And it's so close to her Mars that she can take action in a way that's still very beautiful. She can be masculine in a way that's very beautiful. Because Mars being conjunct such a feminine energy, the higher octave of Venus, it's a bit like it's Mars with Venus. Masculinity plus beauty. And you can kind of see in her energy in her photograph, like she's so beautiful, right? There's a very feminine quality there. Yeah. And so that's what it can mean when you have Mars with that Leo, that Psyche energy. Very beautiful. Yeah.
Lois, I missed what the second house was. The energy.
Well, we haven't gone there yet.
Oh, because we started with 1 and now we're on 3. So that's me.
We'll come back to it.
Okay.
It's difficult to stay on one house at a time, isn't it? Because it's just, there's so many other layers to look at. Okay. So what I want everyone to do, does everyone have a piece of paper handy? I used to do this all the time when I was learning astrology in the beginning to help me get this stuff into my body, right? With your pen and your paper. So I want you to draw a circle. Best you can. Sometimes I'll draw like half. And then the other half, go ahead and draw a circle on a piece of paper. And then you're going to draw a line down the center and a line across. And that's what we
One
did,
circle, right?
one circle with a cross in it.
Okay.
And now you're going to make, we want to make 12 houses here. So the way you do that is there's got to be 3 in each quadrant. 3 houses per quadrant. So you make 1 line, and then you make 2 lines. And that gives you 3 houses in that first, it's called the first quadrant. Okay. And then I want you to put the ASC at the line where that horizon line meets the circle. Just put the ASC. Good. So we're going to start there. Now, does everyone know what sign your ascendant is? And how many degrees? If you don't know what your ascendant is, will you raise your hand? So everyone knows what sign your ascendant is, how many degrees it is? Yeah. Nancy?
I think it was 2, was it?
It's 14 degrees of Aries. So we're going to go
14.
to Nancy's chart real quick. We'll come back.
Degrees. I haven't been able to look at that chart yet. So
Okay.
after we saw it, yeah, go ahead.
So here's Nancy's chart. And oh, it's 20 degrees of Aries. So Nancy, I want you to write at your ascendant 20 degrees of Aries. Okay, did you write that down? So you're going to take your piece of paper. See if I can get this to come in. Nope. It's going to come in. There it is. Yeah, you're going to take your piece of paper and write at that line. Right at that line, you're going to write your ascendant. So if you don't know what your ascendant is, raise your hand and then I'll get that info for you. Karen, do you need to know what your ascendant is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 15 degrees, but I don't know what that yellow symbol is. Is that Leo?
It's 19 degrees of Leo. Yeah, and so on your piece of paper, at the left-hand line that says ASC, I want you to write down how many degrees your rising sign is. And it's one way that you can write it. Here. Okay, so we're going to put ASC, and I'm 15 degrees of Virgo. Or you could just write 15 and then the sign Virgo. That's my ascendant. Everyone, and you're going to put it right here above, right? Like right on that line. Because that's where the ascendant is. Move it a little bit so you can see it. So you're going to put that there. Now you're going to, and does everyone have their ascendant information? Anyone need it? If so, please unmute and we'll find it for you.
Now,
But
since I'm driving as usually, can you please remind me because I cannot look at anything right now. I cannot read. I forgot.
Yeah, of course. We're going to go back to Yola's chart. And so Yola has on her ascendant 35 degrees of Leo. So the very end of Leo, but still enough for it to matter. Like even 1 degree can matter. That we've noticed that with Nancy, where it's changed her body physique to be, you know, more sporty, right? To have a more sporty build with Mars there because it's action and energy. Okay, so Yola, 35 degrees of Leo. Okay. Anyone else still need to know their ascendant sign?
I do.
Hi, Lynn. Hi,
Hi.
beautiful. Glad you could join us. Did you get some good sleep last night?
Yeah, I slept so well.
You were like, I was like, she needs to go to bed. I was like, sleepy. You know, it's like reminded me of when you watch little children and they're like falling asleep and they're like trying to stay up.
Yeah.
I was like, go get some sleep. Okay.
Yeah, I've been getting up early every morning to catch the sunrise. So
Oh,
like
good.
right
for you.
around 9, I'm getting really sleepy.
Good. That's when you're supposed to go to sleep, right?
Right.
Okay. So your ascendant is 0 degrees of Libra.
Libra. Okay.
Okay, so you would just write on your piece of paper. It worked the other night. I'm just gonna have to think you know what I'm saying. Write your circle and then write your ascendant sign right there on that line. Because we are building you, we're building your chart. There. Now we're here. Okay. So now looking at your first house. Oh, there it is. Looking at your first house, what sign is in your first house? Right? So some of us, it's going to be more Virgo, right? Like Lynn is going to have, and I'll go over each of your charts. So Lynn, you have, she has 2 signs in her first house, right? She has Libra and Scorpio. So then she would write in her first house, Libra and Scorpio. Just go ahead and write that into your pie slice. Whatever signs you have in that first house, write Libra and Scorpio. Good. And then for you, Karen, you have Leo and Virgo. So you can just, you know, you write your ascendant 19 degrees of Leo, and then you can write and Virgo. Now, if you want to, and this is extra credit, you can write on the outside what planets you have in your first house. Okay, so Karen will write down. She has, so that first planet there is Ceres. That's an asteroid. And remember, I'm going to write up a list for everyone that has all these explanations. But for now, you can just write Ceres, or you can write that kind of like that curly Q with a cross. Then you also have Pluto. The next one is Pluto. And then you have Juno. And that's the sort of like asterisk with a cross. And you also have Vesta. And so let's see. I wonder if I have this still. There's a bonus that I created for my students. I think I can give it to you all now as a bonus for you all. Bonus.
Vesta, Pluto, and Juno, those are all moons, notice?
They are all Juno and Vesta, and Ceres are all asteroids.
Asteroid.
Mhm. Yeah. So, do you see how we could literally distill down an entire class into the first house? You see why I didn't do that the first class? Yeah. So, I am looking for your bonus. All right, I have a bonus for you all I'm going to get to you that gives you like a cheat sheet for a lot of these things. So you can start to sort of decode what's going on in the chart. So, does everyone have your ascendant written down and the sign that's in your first house? Does anyone need help knowing what planets they have in their first house? I think maybe Nancy. You might need some help because you don't have your chart yet. Well, Nancy, you don't have planets there, so you're in luck. But what you can do is you can write Taurus in your first house, that you have a ton of Taurus. So you have Aries and you have Taurus. Okay. Good. All right.
What is Pluto,
Are
Venus?
there any asteroids?
Venus.
So Pluto is the god of the underworld. Pluto is the god of transformation, intensity, magma, volcanic power, nuclear power. It can relate to having deep depths of powerful transformational energy buried within your subconscious. So when you have Pluto in your first house, you are a powerhouse. You have a lot of power and a lot of energy buried right there under the surface. And it can mean you have a lot of deep transformational work to do around power, around control, around domination, sex, death, rebirth, all like the deep initiations. You have this powerful activational energy. And sometimes that can be triggering for people that you love or you get close to because you can reveal them. You can reveal them pretty fast.
Yep.
So now we're going to look at Angelique's chart here because she has got a poppin' first house. She has got it going on when it comes to self and identity. She has, Angelique, did you write down your ascendant 21 degrees of Leo on your first house?
Yeah, I sure did.
Okay, so we've got that. Now the next thing I would write down is the symbol with the arc and then the balls on it. And those are called the north node of the moon. And this is called the destiny point. Destiny point. Okay. Whew. So in one word, just write destiny. So if someone has their destiny point in the first house of identity, their destiny is about themselves. It's about becoming who they are, about embracing their identity, their appearance, what they look like, right? It's like who they are. This lifetime is about them strengthening that identity. Now, I would also write down Jupiter, because Jupiter is a huge planet. And the other two are asteroids that I'm not going to go into explanation of right now, but you can also write down Saturn. And so you have 1, 2, 3 major planets there. And right above your ascendant, I'd like you to draw in your moon. And it's conjunct your ascendant exactly. And that means emotion. And so in the same way that Sophie has her moon in the first house, because Angelique has her moon exactly conjunct her ascendant and her appearance, it's nearly probably impossible for her to hide how she feels. Like the moon reveals our emotion. And so it's a really frustrating feeling sometimes with the moon there because it can feel like everyone always sees me. And it's like, God, I want a little privacy, you know? It's just like, I'm here and this is who I am and everyone sees me. And it's a really beautiful, receptive energy, but it's also very sensitive. It's very emotional. Having the moon there can make you very psychic because the moon is an intuition, right? So when you have the moon conjunct your identity self, it causes you to be very visible, like very tuned into the mood and the emotion of groups and people and identities, your own as well as others. Go ahead, Lynn.
You mentioned a destiny point. How do you locate that?
Yeah, I thought that would pique some interest. So that is this point here that is curved with the little balls on it, the little circles. That is called the north node of the moon or the destiny point. And it has a mate. It has its polarity in what is called the south node of the moon. And they're always opposite one another. And the south node relates to past lives. Okay, this relates to who you were in the past. They say that our south node is what we come in with that we're really strong at. We're super good at it. We have this big muscle. We've been working out at the gym for lifetimes and we're pumping iron with that energy of the south node. Come into this life and we're ready to use it. And then the universe is like, actually, your north node is opposite that, completely opposite that. And that muscle needs to be worked out. And you're like, but I haven't touched it for lifetimes. It's so weak. I don't know how. I don't want to. I need a trainer. Help. So where our destiny point is, our north node, that's where we really need support because we're not used to it. It's totally new for us. So that is where I would be like, hey, you're looking to get a coach? Get a coach for that area of your life. Get a coach for helping assist you with your identity and your purpose, right? Because it's new. For Angelique, what does it mean to have your destiny point in the first house? Well, they say that when your south node is like almost conjunct the seventh house here, which is partnership, it can mean that in many past lifetimes, you gave away your energy and your power and your might to a partner. And you became one with them, like you merged with them. That can happen in a marriage, right? Or a partnership. And then you lost yourself. You lost the structure of your identity. You lost who you are separate as a soul. And so they say when you have the destiny point in the first house, you're working to grow back your etheric aura and your own identity. Like, and you have to work on it. Like you have to put time and effort into like the most basic stuff. Like, what's my favorite ice cream? What's my favorite color? What's my favorite music? What do I like to do? Right? The most basic things that a lot of us take for granted. Like, of course I know what that is. And that's who I am. That can be challenging for the destiny point in the first house. It's like your identity is this thing that you're building this lifetime. It's been lost. It's been lost. It's been at sea. And so you're becoming yourself again. Pulling all your parts back from all these other people who took your energy, you gave your energy to, and now you're pulling your energy back. And you're like, enough. I'm going to be me. And it's like fierce independence, fierce selfishness, really, like choosing yourself, not letting other people pull you into their dramas, staying focused on your own identity and individuality and your purpose and why you are here, not anyone else. It can be challenging in relationship with this placement, but you have to always be selfish for relationships to work. It's really important. I mean, don't do anything crazy, you know, but like don't be super inconsiderate, but it's important to stay really self-focused And as you stay really self-focused with it conjunct Jupiter, which is the teacher, the guru, the mentor, the coach, you can become a source of inspiration to assist other people to become who they are, right? So you'd be a really great identity teacher, like helping people connect to themselves. As you get in tune with who you are, assisting other people to connect to who they are. Super beautiful. Yeah. Does that resonate?
Sure. We'll run with that.
Tell me more.
No, it's all good.
So, does that resonate with you?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Tell me more.
Mm.
I'm not convinced.
No, it's good. It resonates.
So, moon on the ascendant line can be very sensitive as well. And so that can be a challenge when you go into group situations or people with feeling exposed, right? Like you may think that everyone can see all of you in the same way that you can see everyone else. But here's the secret, they can't. So your ability to see everyone does not mean that everyone can see you. Whoa, right? Like people with moon there can go into a store and feel literally almost like they're naked, and that everyone else can see that they're naked and everyone else is naked too. But the truth is, everyone else just sees your exterior. They just see the outer you and they think that's what you're seeing too. But you have such great depth that you can see a lot more. But don't worry, no one knows. Any questions, Angelique?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
He's like, no more attention on me. Thank you very much. So having the destiny point in the first house can make having attention on you be very uncomfortable, right? Because the destiny point is in the house of partnership. So you're much more used to being involved in like a dynamic of the focus being more expansive, like on two people versus one person. And so when the energy comes back on you, it's a new muscle, right? Like identity muscle. So this lifetime is about developing your identity muscle. You know, like I often tell people with this placement, get a journal and write your name on it. And every day, write 5 or 10 things about who you are that day and what you like and the things you noticed and the things you want to do to start strengthening the I am Angelique muscle. It's a muscle. When the destiny point is there, it becomes a muscle. It's also about shining because Leo is the sun. And so being the center of attention and being a strong individual and identity is really powerful for you. It's actually what you're here for. And that might cause you to feel extremely uncomfortable with the destiny point being in Aquarius. And Aquarius is about community and everyone else but you. So you're much more comfortable with the focus being on the group. When the focus comes on you, it's like extremely uncomfortable and new. But it's what you're here for. You're learning how to be comfortable being the center of attention, being who you are, and shining in a big way with Jupiter there. It's really beautiful, really powerful. And so it's a muscle. Practice developing it, right? And if you feel uncomfortable, that's normal. You're just not used to it. It's new. Not a muscle you've been like at the gym working out, like, yeah, I'm good at being the center of attention. Yeah, woohoo. No, that's not what the North Node deal is. It's more this like, I don't want to do that. This is unfamiliar. But when you do it, guess what happens? You literally get like gold stars from the universe in the craziest of ways. Like when you push yourself with your North Node, your destiny point, and you do the thing it's saying to work on doing, how you expand so much. It's like you have that feeling, you know, that feeling when you've just like done what your soul craves for you to do, and you've been afraid to do it, and you finally do it. And you feel like, oh my God, I did it. And you're walking on air and you're almost like, I can't even believe I just did that. Yeah, like, is this even real? Like, you're almost pinching yourself, like, oh my gosh, right? So that's coming in your world. That's your destiny, right? Stop arguing with your destiny, okay? Just stop. Just stop arguing with it, okay? Because it's just who you are. Look, it's in your first house. It's in identity, moon, Jupiter, emotion, expansion, bigness, being who you are. Learning how to feel emotionally safe, expanding into the greatness of your identity and shining. She's like, I don't even know, Lotus. I can see it. I know Lynn can see it. We all know. We all see you. And we support you. And that's part of the North Node, South Node dilemma. Is like, oh, I need a lot of support around this. I need to be held with this. It's new. It's tender. You know? You don't have to like be there today. Just know it's something that it's possible for you. Watch people you love performing. Get excited by their exuberance. Like there's this band called Walk Off the Earth. You know what? We're gonna take a little break here and we're gonna look at them because I want you all to get this. So this is my new favorite band for the last year. And the woman in it, Sarah, I actually did her astrology chart today. So I was like, she's so magnetic and she's so exciting and she's so vibrant. And I'm like, what, you know, like, how did she get to be this kind of vibrancy? So I'm going to share this with you. And interestingly enough, Angelique, this band is in Canada. So I feel like when you have the destiny point in Leo, Leo is the sign of performance. It's the sign of expression. And so when you have your destiny point in that sign, there's something around performance and self-expression and children and just really being who you are that's super powerful and super potent and a big part of becoming who you're meant to be in this lifetime. Yeah. So I want to share with you all this band. This band, you know, sometimes if we stumble feeling brave enough to get out there and really share who we are, sometimes it can help to like watch a performing artist and see, you know, what's their vibe? How do they do it? Right? How do they get up there on a stage? And we have a lot of Leo rising in this group. We've got Yola has Leo rising. Christine has Leo rising. What's going on here? Karen's got Leo rising. Angelique's got Leo rising. I'll tell you what's happening. I haven't ever told you this. I am a Leo. I am a coach for Leos. Yeah. I nurture and support and encourage those of us who are here to show up in a big way and shine. And so you're all here to do that, right? And Sophie and Lynn with the Libra and with the Taurus, you probably have placements in your chart where you're wanting to shine as well. We all want to shine in our own ways, right? So we're going to have a little music break to help encourage any shy people, anyone who's feeling shy or like vulnerable about going out there and really showing up and being bright and being in your power. The world is calling. It is calling for what you got to give. I heard they called me up and said, Lotus, all your students, they got people out there. They need them. They need you. I was like, I know. No, we got to get them ready. I'm like, yeah, they're still holding back. still holding. We got to get them ready. We got to get them because they got it. They got it. They got it. They got it. And God's like, what's it going to take to blast them? What is it going to take for them to charge forward? I was having this conversation today. So let's have a little musical moment here to hopefully allow the energy of this band to help clear through any shyness, any timidity. Look at how vibrantly they perform, right? Look at how intense they are, right? They're so in it. So let's see here. Yep. I just, this is amazing stuff. All right. Here we go.
Don't cloud my vision. I'm telling you not today. 'Cause I'm seeing straight. Made my decision. Made it through the shades of gray. Made it my own way. I'ma materialize the feeling. To carry on, to carry on. I know some will say I'm dreaming. But carry on, I'll carry on. This ain't a way, I say I rule the world. Ain't afraid of the walls, I'ma break them down. They say the same, oh, I'm feeling rise above. Ain't afraid of the ground, I'ma stay. I say yeah, please say no, no, no. Please say slow, slow, slow. I say go, go, go. This ain't a way, I say I rule the world. I say I rule the world. I chased illusion, then I watched it fade to black, throwing me off track. Found revolution, found it in a simple fact. I ain't coming back. I materialize the feeling. To carry on, to carry on. I know some will say I'm dreaming. I carry on, I carry on. This ain't a way, I say I rule the world. Ain't afraid of the walls, I'ma break them down. They say the same, oh, I'm feeling rise above. Ain't afraid of the ground, I'ma stay. I say yeah, please say no, no, no. Please say slow, slow, slow. I say go, go, go. This ain't a way, I say I rule the world. I say I rule the world. I say I rule This ain't the way, oh, I say I rule the world.
Ain't afraid of the walls, I'ma break them down.
This is the same, oh, I'm feeling high as a bird.
Ain't afraid of the ground, I'ma stay up.
No, no, no.
Slow, slow, slow. I say go, go, go. This ain't the way, I say I rule the world. I say I rule the world. I say I rule the world. I say I rule the world.
So
The
good.
strings are rusty, but
So you imagine living your life, standing up on that stage of your life with that microphone. I rule the world, she says. I rule the world with complete conviction in her entire body. How many lifetimes have we been yearning to grab the power back of who we are and to stand up on the stage of our lives and command our will with love, right? To command our will with love. She doesn't feel angry. She doesn't feel mean, right? When she's up there with her microphone, she is just conviction. And everyone else wishes to follow that energy, don't they? Because it is our truth, that personal power, that personal will. And so I share that with you because we're all women here. And for thousands of years, our power, we've lost it time and again. And it is time for us to take it back. And when I see Angelique's chart with all that Leo in the first house of identity, I see a powerful leader in her. And I know that wherever you have Leo in your chart, Karen, Christine, Yola, you're here to lead. You are here to stand on that stage in all your glory, all of that God-given glory of your friggin' awesomeness, and stand in the power and say, I rule my world. Yeah? I rule my world. That power, that just God-given right for you to be here claiming your power. I just wanted to just transmit that because God was like, they have got this. They have got so much more power than they know. And why don't they know? Because for thousands of years, women have not been given that right to have that power. But we do now. We do now. And I see each of you being powerful leaders. And guess what? How good did it feel to see her up on that stage leading the whole audience like that? Like, didn't it just like kind of just feel like, yeah, like that's right. And like the men in the crowd were like laughing and like happy. They were happy to see her in her power. Like, yeah, that's super cool. Right? So I just really want to encourage you all tonight to take back your power. Take back your will. Take back your life. Whatever it takes, take it back because you have that power now more than ever. So thank you for taking that musical break. But if we were to look at the fifth house, that energy would be about performance. And the first house, we're seeing that video because that energy is about performance in a way of leadership. So the first house is really about leadership and courage, standing up as who we are and sharing our identity with the world. And so that's why I shared that video with you. Thank you for watching. I hope it was enjoyable. They're a wonderful band. All right. Yeah. So good. I'm glad. I love them. They make me happy. Whenever I'm at, whatever I'm going through, it's the best. All right. So we'll get back on to the wheel of our class here. And now we've gotten to shine bright with that beautiful Leo energy that Angelique has. Just whenever I see your picture, I just go, wow, honestly. Like she's just so radiant and shining like that sunflower. Oh, beautiful. Just beautiful. That's what I see. Absolutely stunning. You know, I have a new practice I started doing because sometimes other people can think we're super beautiful and stunning and tell us this and we hear it. But sometimes we struggle to feel that way about ourselves. Like, yeah, I hear you, but I don't really buy it. I went through that for a long time. And so I became pretty passionate about how can I start to actually feel that love in myself. So there's this amazing life hack from a a brain specialist who studies the brain, neurology. And he said, if you want to amplify your day, and you want to change your life, there's one thing you can do when you wake up every day. It's really simple. You wake up, and first thing, you go to the bathroom. You don't lay there. You don't know I could go to the bathroom now. You just go. That's hard. It's pretty hard, but you just do it. Okay? And then the second thing is you look in that mirror first thing when you wake up, and you say 10 times, looking at yourself in the mirror, I love you. 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 And y'all, I've been doing this for the last week. And I felt so tremendously different. And it's been subtle, but it's been really profound and really awesome. I'll just shut the door. Okay, thanks. So the second house, right? Whew, pretty cool life hack, right? You just say, I love you in the mirror 10 times, like that's it, and it changes your whole life. Yeah. Yeah, it does, because it starts rewiring your brain to love yourself, to love yourself, to love yourself from inside of yourself. So you imagine that the first house is birth, right? And we're not going to do all 12 houses tonight, so chill out, everyone. We're not going to be here for eternity. The second house, so imagine first house is birth, right? That moment when we come into life. Ah, doctor, right? Making those newborn sounds. Coming into life, we like can't see. Like the first house kind of has that flavor of just like wild, raw, untamed energy. We're meeting life. Then we come to the second house. And I think of the second house a lot like from birth through like toddlerhood. Like we're with the family. We've been born. We're starting to get grounded into this reality, right? Like we have a blankie now, and we have pajamas, and maybe we have a bed that we sleep in, right? Because we go from birth without having anything. It's just us, right? It's just being. To the second house is like we're starting to have a material reality. We're having a house and a clothing, and you're eating food, and suddenly, we got to like have some money, right? Like our parents have to have some money to feed us, right? To take care of our basic needs. And so the second house is about the earth. It's an earth energy house. It's about grounding, material reality, all the good things of life, money, goods, beautiful things, the physical plane. It's our material house. And so if you're looking to know more about money, you want to know like, what's the best way that I could make material fortune in my life, right? I could make money. I could make beautiful things. I could build riches, right? It's a big house for building our material reality. That's the second house. And so whatever sign or whatever planets that you have there are going to express this. And so I made this slide. It was really fun to make. It's like, oh, all the beautiful things, right? Like chocolate cake and beautiful dresses and jewelry, fancy jewelry. And, people say about Taurus. So the sign that rules the second house is Taurus. And people always say that Taurus are like salt of the earth. They're people who are really, really grounded, right? They're really dependable. They're really loving. Yeah, they're beautiful. Has a lot to do with beauty. So let's go ahead and go to our chart. And I'd like you to write on your second house, what sign is there? Okay. So Karen, you have here. You have Virgo on the cusp of the second house. Hi there.
Oh.
So you have, oh, okay. Have a good night. So you
The
have,
black M, is that Virgo? That black M on the outside?
yeah, so
green
you
circle?
have Virgo on the cusp of the second house. Okay. And that it relates to health and healing, and it's a grounding energy, and it's all about assisting people with their health. And so if, you know, you're wanting to know how could you make money, you would look into everything related to health and healing, right? Because that's the second house's material things, money, shelter, clothing, jewelry, right? Like all those kinds of things. So when you have that Virgo there, it can relate to that being a good way to make money. Now, if you wanted to go a step deeper and you're trying to figure out your money house, you're trying to figure out, well, what's the best way for me to make money? Then you would want to ask, well, what's the ruler of Virgo? And so the ruler of Virgo, as I was sharing with you, is Chiron. And Chiron is over here in her 7th house in Aquarius. So that tells me that a way she might be able to make money is not only through health and healing, but also through community and through new technology, right? So groups of people utilizing new energetic technologies. And what was the part of the body that Aquarius ruled that was super cool? What was that part? What does Aquarius rule again? There's the ankles and the shins, and then there was that kind of magical part of the body that Aquarius rules.
The energy field or the electrical system.
Yeah, the electrical system. So Karen, I would recommend you look into learning more about the electrical system of the body. Maybe the meridians. I would recommend getting acupuncture and learning about the electrical system of the body, because you have the ruler of your 2nd house, the money house, in the sign of the electrical system of the body. And it's also the wounded healer, which tells me that you might have a deep wound that you need to heal, both around making money and around your electrical system of your body. So I would highly recommend getting acupuncture. Or something that, you know, you can do some research. There's a lot of things that address the electrical system. But I think that would be very beneficial for you. Yeah. Cool. Anyone? Yeah, go ahead. I want to hear you, Angelique.
I just wanted to ask a quick question about placement of Chiron, but
Yeah.
I realize it's probably not the best time.
No, you know what? Gosh darn it. Your questions are always the best time. I always want them. They're never wrong. They're never bad. You never have to apologize. I love them. Please ask.
So I
Ask
see
away.
how Chiron's in her house of Aquarius.
Yeah.
And you were talking about electrical systems. So if mine is in Aries, which would be the head,
Mhm.
I'm going the wrong direction with this. Can you just
No, you're
poke
not. No. It's just that we're focusing on her 2nd house right now.
Yeah.
And the ruler of her 2nd house is Chiron.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're saying that to make money, she might want to look into things related to the electrical system and healing. Okay. But if we look at your chart, I think
Mine should be similar.
I think what's happening is that instead of relating this to the 2nd house, you're just going, my Chiron is in Aries.
No, because my 2nd house is Virgo as well.
Oh gosh,
So
I'm
that's
sorry.
the only
You're
reason
right,
I asked
you're right.
is because it's related to her.
I was trying to figure out Aries and Virgo. I was like, I don't get it.
No.
It's the Chiron. Yeah, so you had perfect. You got it. You're doing great. My brain is doing great too. Second house in Virgo, that's correct. The ruler of Virgo. And I thought the ruler of Virgo was always Mercury. And then I saw this article and this post, and this woman said, Chiron is actually seems like a better ruler for Virgo. And I was like, yes, it does, because Chiron is the wounded healer and Virgo is the healer. And it makes perfect sense that that would be true. So if you have Chiron in Aries, and that's the ruler of your second house, that could mean, yeah, working on the head.
I just wanted to make sure I was tracking properly because it seemed to. Thank you.
Yes, yeah. And you could also travel a lot because Aries or the ninth house is far foreign travel. So you could travel being a leader and possibly teaching because it's the ninth house of being either higher education or being a teacher of higher education. And you could travel teaching about things related to the head or the mind, right? Head and mind, very connected. Or be involved in some type of pioneering, some kind of new invention, right? Because Aries is pioneering and it's a new beginning. And it's things that are new, beginnings. Yeah, very interesting. Interesting. Okay, anyone else want to look at their second house? See what we see there. Go ahead, Christine. Okay. Are you guys finding this interesting to look at everyone's charts and see the differences?
Oh, yes.
Cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of incredible how you all have such different energies, right? It's like, let me fix your chart a little bit here. It's got an interesting shape.
Bruce, what's the symbol for Chiron?
Yeah. You know, it's funny because I was almost going to design all of tonight's talk to talk about Chiron because it's so powerful. I actually had one of my master classes. I had a whole plan and everyone was like, no, we want to know about Chiron. Like the class ran away and we just talked about Chiron for hours. And so it's powerful. So Chiron, where is Chiron in your chart? Chiron is the circle with a K. And I've, no joke, had people start crying when I start talking about their Chiron so many times because it relates to a deep past life wound. It relates to your deepest wound. Yeah. And I actually was able to do research on my own astrological chart recently to identify my own deepest wound. And I've been working on it. I actually found it and I've been working on it and it's insanely powerful. A lot. It's a lot to handle. But once you address it, it can change your entire life. So, Christine, we're going to come to your second house. And it's an interesting one, right? Because it's got this little, goes up and then it goes over and then it goes across. And you're like, what does that mean? And so you also have Virgo on your second house because we have Karen, Christine, and Angelique. You all have Leo rising. That's so cool. Oh, what are the chances? The Leo energy attracts to this work, I guess.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Oh, and Yola. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 of you.
I was just looking at these charts, and they, of course, we have different planets sitting there, but the sign, if you put them together on a screen, they have almost the same look of like almost identical. It's so funny.
It's fascinating, and you're all here together. You all have your seventh house in Aquarius, and Aquarius is the sign of astrology. Yeah, and it's in your house of partnership. And so you might really enjoy giving readings because it's a one-on-one session, right? You're talking with you and another person. It's like a partnership. And you're using a technology, which is the astrological chart, and you're using it to assist the person with defining their purpose. It's a bit like being a therapist, but you're using technology, the technology of astrology, to guide them. So some people are really drawn to this work, and you can see it in their astrological charts. It's very interesting. Yeah. So coming back to your second house and the ruler being Chiron in Aquarius in the seventh house, yeah, I could see you making money through being a partner with others, maybe even having groups that you work with, partnering with groups, utilizing technology, astrology, and other various tools to assist and guide them to transform and step into their greatness. Yeah, it's a real energy of the new age, of modern things, right? Like the future, for instance. You want to bring in the future. You're not content with how things are. You want to bring in the future. That's what Aquarius says. Say, I am here to bring in the new earth. Sometimes people aren't ready for what you're bringing. You gotta like, okay, slow down, then go forward and keep going back to what you're here to do. Yeah, and your Chiron is conjunct your Mercury and your Sun, right? So shining, communication, and possibly assisting wounded healers, especially with this new age technology, coaching them, guiding them, assisting them with their work, right? And moving forwards. Yeah. Cool. Any questions about that? You also have Venus and the Sun and Moon midpoint and Saturn all in Aquarius. Yeah. That's a lot. So you and other people, okay? You and another, or you and a group. You have a ton of energy for working with other people. In fact, you're probably not going to be happy without working with other people. This is the sign of a coach. Because what I've discerned is that I didn't truly become happy until I started taking all of my energy and gifts and bringing them to others. Because I have a ton of stuff in my seventh house too. Not as much as you. No way, but enough to know that happiness for people with seventh house planets revolves around the other person. Like you showing up and assisting someone, it gives you the greatest joy on earth. Yeah, 100%. So astrology, technology, the new age, collective communities that are focused on new age principles. This really is the dawning of the age of Aquarius for you, right? That's what you're here to bring in. You really need community. Like it's so crucial for you. New age, new technology people who are open to all those kinds of things. Yeah. Any questions?
Yes, thank you. Because I don't, what is that sign? I know A1, is that an asteroid? I'm trying to figure out what the rest of the symbols are in that second house and how they might relate to what you're saying right now. Or support what we're saying.
Yeah, so I'll make a list of all those things. I'm not going to go into them right now and take
That's
too
okay.
long.
Yeah.
But they're not any of them like super. Some asteroids I know are like super potent and intense powerhouses. These are kind of more of a gentle energy. So I'll get that to you. But
okay. Are they all three asteroids? Because I have searched everywhere to figure out what that middle sign is, and I can't
I
find
would just wait, everyone. You're trying to figure out the tiny little details here.
Yeah.
And before you even know the big things, right? So try and like give yourself time here.
Okay.
And put it on a carrot stick to draw you forward. Like, I'll find out eventually. But right now, like, do you know what sign is on your ascendant? Do you know what sign is on your first house? Do you know what sign is on your second, your third, your fourth? And so that's what we're going to work on, is what sign do you have on your second house? Everyone go ahead and write down what sign is on your second house. And if you haven't written down what planets you have in your first house, you can do that. And you don't have to include all of them, just include the ones you know, like there's Uranus, there's Pluto, there's Mars. Right? Now you could literally take a couple days and just read up on what does it mean to have Uranus in Leo in the first house? What does it mean to have Pluto in Leo in the first house? What does it mean to have Mars in Leo in the first house? What does it mean to have Regulus in the first house, the heart of the lion? Right? And so you can do
Need a
research.
little help because I don't have the chart.
Yeah, I'll be sending that to you, Nancy.
Okay.
Yeah, and you have an open canvas in the first house. So
For the
there-
second, thank you. Okay.
yeah, you want to look at your second. Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, go ahead, Lynn.
When reading up on the signs and planets, there's more information with the his tropical system, but I assume that that would be the same. Okay.
It's the same except for Ophiuchus.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Right.
So yeah, so you're welcome to just dive deep into the other, mainstreams of astrology, but know that the Ophiuchus you'll have to do a little more research on to find out about. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go to bed now, but I'm
Okay.
gonna read up on a lot more tomorrow.
Awesome, Lynn. So tomorrow's class, we're gonna reveal. You see how long going through each of the houses can be, right? It's a bit tedious. And so that's a better pursuit oftentimes for people to do on their own, right? Than sit in a class and go through because there's so many of them. So what I'm going to bring our focus to, I wanted to open the door for you though, to start to get the feel. Okay, we start with birth, then it goes to material, then it goes to communication, then it goes to home, then it goes to creativity, then it goes to health, relationships, etc. And so tomorrow, I'm going to share with you all the secret for purpose, finding purpose, soul planet, destiny, and maybe we'll get into love, how to explain and share how to find love and what aspects you want to look for love in a relationship. But when you have these kind of points, it can speed up your chart reading. So we're going to go over, what do you look for to read a chart? Like it's so much. How do you pinpoint in what to talk about? Now that you're getting a sense of the 4 pillars and the 12 houses, now it's like, okay, there's a lot of other stuff. What do I focus on? So tomorrow is going to be the day for focusing in on specific things. And there will be like 5 or 10 specific things that we're going to focus in on, that once you know what those are, you can kind of speed up this process. Like I don't go through painstakingly each and every house and every sign. I don't do that. I just look for the points. Right? And you could even, Lynn, you could even muscle test all the points and say, oh, we should talk about that one. Right? It's just that easy. Yeah, so I'm super glad you came. Any final questions before you go? I think you just asked it. So awesome. Have a sweet dreams. I could tell, I was like, Lynn is getting so sleepy. She needs to go to sleep right now. All right. Have a good night, Lynn. Okay. So Nancy, let's see your second house here. So your second house is in Gemini. Okay. And you have Mars, Uranus, and Sirius there, the star Sirius, and the asteroid Vesta, all in your second house. So the sign you have on the cusp, it's called the cusp of your second house, is Taurus. And so to find the ruler of your second house, you would look for Venus. And so you have Venus in Leo. Okay. What does that mean? Well, it means that you could make money in the home because you have Venus in the house of the home. It's in Leo, which is the sign of shining. So you really shine at home. You're very loving at home. You have a lot of skills and talents at home. Right? Now, because you also have a ton of planets in Gemini, right? Mercury, then we want to look at Mercury, and you have Mercury in Leo in this third house, which is communication. So you really shine when you communicate, and it's conjunct your Pluto, which is depth and transformation. And so you're really someone who shines with transformation and communication with people in your vicinity, like neighbors and, maybe family and friends and things like that. People close to you, right? Okay. Any questions with that, Nancy? Sophie?
I'm looking at that and how are you seeing the Uranus part?
Oh, in the second house?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have Uranus, this thing here.
Uh-huh.
That's Uranus in your second house,
Uh-huh.
conjunct your Mars.
Yes.
So are you meaning the Venus? How did I find Venus?
I'm getting a little tired, so I need a little help. Yeah, tell me that again.
I'm just not sure what your question is.
Okay.
Are you wondering how she got Taurus as your right there on?
Are you wondering what
Well,
sign?
I did see Taurus is on the first part, and then
Mhm.
it's Gemini. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
the
that's
way
what-
that we got to Venus is that Venus rules Taurus.
Okay. So you looked into the ruler.
Yeah, yeah. So finding the
Okay. And then
ruler.
when you look at the ruler, then you're looking further in other places too on the
Yeah,
chart.
because the ruler might be
Okay.
somewhere else, right? The
Okay.
planet.
Okay. I just needed to get it right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you do have to get it right. If you don't get it right, you'll stop learning. So it's
Right.
important to
Right.
ask questions.
Okay. Great. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Okay.
you
got
have
it.
Venus is the ruler of your second house, which is the billionaire planet, right? Which means that you could make a lot of money working at home and shining in some capacity or working with children. Because Leo is children, right? So working with young ones. Yeah. Okay. So, see here, we talked about Christine. Sophie, did we talk about your chart?
Not yet.
She's having a nap in Germany at what, 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning?
No, it's 4:30,
Oh my
nearly.
God. You are so precious. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sophie has Cancer on her second house. Okay. So having Cancer there that means that the moon is the ruler of her chart and becomes a good way for her to make money. And we already looked at her moon being in Gemini. Yeah. And so learning emotions, learning about emotions, learning about anything could be very beneficial for her for making money. Yeah.
And one question, I also have Leo in the second house, right?
Mhm.
With
So
the IC.
that's interesting. That's unusual.
Okay,
Yeah.
why
So
is that?
because the IC is typically related to the fourth house of the home, but in your chart, it's more connected to your second house. And so that could mean that making money and valuables and material things are very deep for you. Like it's very deeply important for you to be
Okay.
secure, to have safety, to be grounded. And because Cancer is on the cusp of this chart, it would mean that you are much more, it'd be stronger than Leo because it's more, it's close to the cusp. Whatever sign is near the cusp is generally stronger than what's later on in the chart. However, since you have the IC there, that adds another interesting development because that's a very deep point, right? That's one of the 4 pillars. And so that could relate to making money through your ancestry, shining and making money with your ancestry, with your family, with your emotions, with your expression. Because the IC can relate to the moon, it can relate to the mom, it can relate to the home, it can relate to the tribe. Okay, so there could be some connection to your ancestry, to your lineage, to your history, that actually becomes a way in which you're able to bring in income or money. It could even show up as an inheritance. And then the ruler of your IC then becomes the sun. And that could mean sun in the 7th, making money through a marriage, making money through a partnership. So that could be shining through a marriage partner or a partnership that allows you to travel and go very far in the world, being connected with this partner, which is very interesting. I've never seen this before. I've never seen the IC in the second house. It's really cool. It's a unique composition to have both the energies of money making and the material world and our earthing and our grounding, with also the energies of the IC, which are the energies of the home and the family and the ancestry and the DNA and our heritage. It really relates to heritage. And then the fact that the ruler of that IC is the sun, and the sun is in Sagittarius, which is the partnership, the foreign partner. So you can tell theory that he's going to make a ton of money for you, okay?
That's great. Looking forward to it.
Well, I'm assisting him right now. We're assisting each other. We'll get him ready.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lotus, for sharing all this information with us. It's so precious.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, okay, awesome. And so any further questions with this? And let's see, I talked to Christine and Nancy and Angelique. Let's see who all is here right now. So Christine, Nancy, Yola is here, Karen. Okay. Yola, are you around?
Yes, I am. Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
She's like, yes, please. So we'll talk to Yola about her second house. Do you see how powerful the second house is? It's so important. It's that like material reality us. And how many people are looking to manifest abundance? And how much knowledge did that just bring to you? Like, did that do something for you to hear about your second house? It kind of like awakened something. Yeah. Okay, we've got another, and this is so interesting because we have so many Leo rising people. We have tons of people with their second house in Virgo. And what are we looking at? We're looking at, I set an intention I wanted to work with the healers. So here are a ton of people who could make money through healing. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Yeah. Okay. So for Yola with Virgo on her second house, the new ruler, and this is new for Yola because in my course that she was in, I did not know that Chiron could rule Virgo. I didn't know about this. This is like all new information for me. And I'm gonna share with you my story before we end class tonight because I'm testing that I should and that it's really important to share. Chiron can relate to past life memories and past life things that we've gone through. And so you could teach, you could just do sessions alone on helping people identify their Chiron because it reveals their past life trauma to an extreme degree. And I'll share my story in a moment about that. Everyone here, are you pretty open to the concept of past lives? Yeah. So we have a lot of you whose Chiron rules your money-making house. So that means that you might have talent working with other people who have wounds, right? You could make money working with Chiron. Does that make sense? Like you could make money assisting people with their Chiron wound. And what is the Chiron wound? It's a very deep past life. It's our deepest wound in the chart because what is the story of Chiron? Chiron was the most learned, powerful healer of all the centaurs. And they brought all the heroes to be trained by him, like Hercules and Perseus and all the great Greek heroes got trained by Chiron because he was the best teacher. He was the best healer of all the land. So when you have Chiron ruling the second house, you might be a really great teacher. You might be someone here to really uplift and serve others, okay, who are here to be great. They're a great teacher. So Yola has her Chiron. And so what happened to Chiron is that he got wounded. The greatest teacher, the greatest healer got wounded. How many of you can relate to that? Yeah. Yeah. And he couldn't heal himself. How many of us have a wound or a pain or an issue that we feel like we can't heal? We spend our life trying to figure out how to heal it. Well, that's what Chiron represents. Chiron represents the wounded healer. Okay, and so how powerful is it to be able to show that to your client or your friend who you're working with, and they're trying to figure out how to really heal their life? Chiron gets right to the core of it. Right to the core. So when you have Chiron ruling your money house, you might be able to help make money through assisting other people to heal their core wounding. And whatever sign that Chiron is in will show you how. Maybe because it's an Aquarius in most of your charts, it could be through technology, through the application of technology. Yeah. So Yola with her Chiron in the 6th house, the good news is that we can actually heal our wounds, whereas Chiron could not. And so we get to heal our wounds. And then we get to help people with the wounding that we had. We get to help them to heal whatever we went through, whatever our wound was, we can then heal others with. Yeah. Okay. So Yola has her Chiron at 22 degrees of Aquarius, and that's literally 1 degree from her 7th house. So this wound probably relates to the body. Okay, it relates to the electrical system because Aquarius is the electrical system. Now, we're not going into so much what her wound is right now. We're going into how Chiron could be a way she makes money, right? So with Chiron in Aquarius in the 6th house, she could assist people with transforming their deepest wound around their health and their relationships, because it's right near the 7th, and their electrical system, their bodies, through modern technology. So Yola is going to be super attracted to all kinds of new age technologies that involve healing. Every kind of new age healing technique, Yola is going to be really good at making money with it. Not everyone can do that, but Yola could, right? Because her Chiron, the ruler of her 2nd house, is in the 6th house of health and healing. The house of really, the body. Body is important for Yola. She could make money through assisting people with their bodies, with their health, with their fitness, with their daily activities that they do. Yola, you want to unmute and share with us how that's landing if you have any questions?
Yeah, that's very interesting. You know, I really feel like this is a compliment to you because, you know, like I said, I went through the program and this is something that I guess the studying never ends, you know, like you go deeper and deeper. And we had so much work we've done in the program. I find still new information in the challenge here, right? So, and interestingly enough, when we finished, I wasn't even doing all this. And now, interestingly enough, I am so deep into all kinds of healing techniques. This is mind blowing, right? And you know it because we are, you know, connected with many other places. I do all these access consciousness bars and lifts and body process. I just finished 3-day class on almost 60 body processes. It's unbelievable, right? So yeah, and I'm fascinating bodies. I'm just absolutely drawn and fascinated, and I am getting incredible reviews. Like people are telling me that my energy is sick, which is like incredible to that. Like I touch them and they feel it, and I never was aware of it. So yeah, this is, you know, like imagine if I knew that, I don't know, 10 years ago, whatever, and I would have saved myself all kinds of time doing stuff that I thought I. And interestingly enough, in Access, there is this saying that if something is true to you, it's very light. And if something is not, it feels heavy. And certain things that I study, I put so much effort. And yes, I do great at it, but it doesn't feel light. And certain things, like I can do these things. I can sit and listen to you for days. Why do you think I'm doing this challenge? Because I kind of miss my lotus. You know, we spend freaking every weekend so much time doing this stuff, right? And now, so it's interesting. When I have interest in something, I'm drawn to it and I'm just like passionate and I'm like interested. And just as an example, I had to do something for my corporate past couple exams couple of days ago. Oh boy. Yeah, it took me, you know, I just had to read the manual and then go past 2 hours of exams on computer. It was a dread because it was not interesting to me. This stuff, I'm just like, give it to me, give it to me. So yeah, you're absolutely on point with this.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's so neat that I got to learn about Chiron being the ruler of Virgo, Yola, because I didn't know this before.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember we were looking at this stuff that my first and second house were kind of empty, you know, and this and that, and we were just fishing, like, okay, so where this goes, and it was still accurate information, but yeah, we did not talk about Chiron at all at that point.
This is so powerful. This is life-changing information, what I learned, because we all have Virgo in our chart. So knowing what planet really rules Virgo is so important. And I used to think it was Mercury, but it doesn't fit the same way. Like everything you just said, Yola, you're pursuing technology and you're pursuing health and healing and you're making money from it. And it's like so on point. Wow.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's effortless. This is the piece that is like I to get the same amount of like interest, and like you can project something, let's say even on social media. I'm talking just completely um organically, right? And the stuff that is like true to me, like people like you said, people are drawn to you for stuff that you say. People who meant to hear you. But the interesting thing is that when you talk about stuff that's light for you, it just is effortless. It's like so like aligned with it. Like it's and the stuff that you like kind of hustle and grind to get done is a little different, right? You can do it. I'm not saying you can, but and I am doing it, but it's different. It's very energetically different. So
Yes,
it's awesome stuff.
it is. Yeah, that's so great. I'm so glad that we
And
did.
I also didn't have a chance to say to you, like because I you know my friend coach, whatever, we coach each other for years, Sharon, she finished your course. She's fascinated by it, and I'm so happy that she found you through me, because it was something too, you know, that
She
so it's just
found
like,
me.
you know.
She hunted me down, Yola. She's like, I had to search you and I found you.
Yeah, because yes, because we you know, she knew that I finished your course last year, and she was always, she also had all these energies in her too. So yeah, it's interesting stuff, really interesting.
It is. Yeah, I'm so stoked I could share this piece with you because it's so on point. You're totally on track. So cool.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Karen, go
Thank
ahead.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Oh, that was wonderful, Yola, what you were speaking about. I so resonated with all of it. And I also am glad to be here. I was curious about any information anybody has about the way you worded it a couple times, Lotus, was technology and healing. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with some of the gadgets, for lack of a better word, right now. Healy, it's something you can, it's like a biofeedback thing. You can strap it onto different parts of your body. How do you guys feel about that kind of stuff versus Reiki or just, you know, human, divine, universal energy like Jesus did it versus some of these technological devices that supposedly can change the frequency of your liver if you have liver failure, or the frequency of your bladder if you have bladder cancer, da 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 da, and on. Do I make sense?
So Karen, that's one thing that I'm sharing with you is that having Chiron in Aquarius means that you're going to be drawn to technology. You're going to love Jesus and the energies and Reiki, but you're going to be super drawn to technological devices like that. And it's worth your time to explore them and investigate them and learn more about them. That's actually something you're here learning about. So embrace it. But, you know,
Okay. I wasn't sure because it's kind of the whole, if we're all children of God and we're brothers and sisters of Jesus and we have this power within us, then where does the technology come into play? Is it accepted? Is this what God wants us to do and you use this, or are we supposed to just be pure?
you're supposed to use your discernment
Okay.
and use your God guidance, what feels right, right? There's some technologies that are incredibly helpful.
Right.
And there's some that are incredibly hurtful.
Right.
So with Aquarius, Aquarius rules technology. So when you have the ruler of your second house in the sign that rules technology, it would behoove you to investigate it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
But because Chiron is the wounded healer, you probably have very deep past life wounding around technology.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that might be an area you really want to focus on clearing in order to create wealth and abundance. If you have Chiron ruling your second house, you really want to look into healing whatever Chiron has, whatever happened in your past life, because it's going to directly affect your income. which
Got
is
it.
like, oh my goodness. Right.
Yeah, no, that's me. I want to know. I want to know what I have to do. So that's perfect. Thank you.
Mhm. Of course. Okay, Christine, go ahead.
I might just have two questions. One, what, and maybe I missed this, and I apologize if I did, but what planet rules of Ophiuchus?
Oh yeah. Well, that's another hotly debated topic.
Okay, yeah.
So there's several suggestions. I think the two I've heard the most are Saturn and Chiron. So I talked with another astrologer and I was like, well, what do you think about that? Like, what do you think about Chiron? If it rules Virgo, can it also rule Ophiuchus? And she's like, well, why not? So I kind of see like Pluto and Chiron personally seem to be good rulers for that sign because Pluto is super intense. The key point here is that the jury is still out and it's open for discussion and analysis and investigation. All those things that Ophiuchus is good at, right? Investigation and analysis, Ophiuchus is good at. So yeah, there's a lot of unknowns with Ophiuchus. And so it kind of leaves a whole field open for interpretation and creation. If you have channelings, if you get insight, if you get awarenesses that you can add to the growing body of information and knowledge that we have on Ophiuchus. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Or?
It does. Thank you so much. The second question I have is, do you have a master class on how we all know now where Chiron is in our charts, and we know what rules are in Aquarius for a lot of us. So how do we find out what the wound was? If it's about around technology, like you have steps or a master class on how to go deeper with that?
Yeah. So that's a really good question, actually. And that almost leads into my story that I want to share with you all, because I didn't realize the power of Chiron until I started to face it in my own life and started to do energy work on it. And as some of you know who've done energy clearing sessions with me, I have quite a few techniques and technologies under my belt to clear the deeper things. And so I generally offer a master class that is 6 days, and I was thinking about it, or 6 weeks, then 6 days and 6 weeks. And I was like, you know what? I think it's time that I offer a master class that is 12 days, twice a week. It's really full on. It's going to be going deep on everything under the sun. And it's going to be giving my students the power to read charts like that. Like my last student, she's already out advertising and making money doing astrology reading after 6 weeks. And it's like what I could, and that was 6 classes. That's all it was. If I had 12 classes with you all, I know that you could become absolutely astonishingly good at reading charts. I already have one of the students from the course is out reading charts already. Her sister messaged me. She's like, oh my God, she's so into this. So in that course, I think I want to take 1 or 2 classes to go over Chiron, to assess everybody's Chiron, and then to do some massive healing and investigation around it to really get to it. Right? And I can teach everyone muscle testing, which is something you can start practicing. But I do want the class to not just be that you're going to learn astrology, but you're also going to clear your Chiron block. And I wouldn't have been able to say that I could do this, but for my own experience that I've been having recently that I'll begin to share with you all. Yeah, because it's occurred to me that many of us are out there suffering with this Chiron wound, like literally suffering. I was. And I didn't know how to fix it, and I didn't know how to identify it, and I didn't know what it was. And I could not believe that you can literally assess it and find it through the astrological chart. I couldn't believe it. Then now I have tools that I can start to clear it with you all. I have tools to teach you how to clear it. Yeah. So that will be included in my masterclass. Big claim, but I know I can do it. Yeah. Yeah. So that answer your question? Okay. That's big energy, I know. It's really big energy. But it's time. It's time. It's time to heal this stuff. It's time to not have that gaping wound affecting every area of your life, isn't it? It's time for me. I know it's time for me. I'm ready. I'm like, I see you. I've identified you. It's time to go. Yeah. Not sure. Maybe I'll share my story tomorrow. So gearing up for it. Gearing up to share can be real intense, right? All right, Sophie, go ahead.
Just a quick question. Could you maybe recommend some literature or websites where we can do our extra homework and research?
Yeah. What specifically are you wanting to do your homework on? The things you're trying to learn here.
Like the placements and the meanings of the placements.
Yeah, so
a general one.
Honestly, I don't like to go to any one website. What I do is I just throw it out there and I scan through all of the websites because every person who writes astrology writes so differently. It's so different, and so it can take time to find the one that feels really right.
Okay, perfect.
I just go to
I will
Google
do
or DuckDuckGo, I put in, and this is what I did for years. First house, blah, blah, blah. So the homework assignment I would give you is twofold. Does everyone have their astrological chart, by the way? Okay, Christine, you do. Sophie, you do. Okay, Karen, do you have yours?
I do, but somebody's picture is in one corner, so it's blocking off a couple of the houses.
That's weird. Okay.
Yeah, they were talking at the time. They had their hand raised or
Oh,
something.
I see. How
Yeah.
dare y'all be raising your hand? I'm trying to take my picture. All right. All right. Does anyone else need their chart? I know Nancy, you need your chart. Okay.
Yes.
And so the homework assignment, I'm going to give you all, Nancy, Karen, you don't have to do it till you get your chart from me, is to get out a piece of paper. And I want you to write down your ascendant, the sign on your first house, the sign on your second, and all the way through the chart. Write down what signs are there. Okay. And then I want you to write out by hand, to the best of your ability, the symbols that are in those houses. Because you're probably not going to know necessarily what all of them are, but I want you to just start getting familiar with them. Start writing them down, like, trying to draw them. Okay. And then by the next couple of days, I'm going to get a key for you so that you can know what's what. Let's see, maybe I can find it here. Hi, Angelique. Funny, like the little squares it shows me while I'm talking. Course bonuses, is this it? I'd like to get it to y'all tonight if I can. Yeah, I'll try and send it to you tonight. That's the course bonuses that basically just give you like a key to the map of the chart and what the planets mean, right? Yeah. Okay. So Angelique, we didn't look at your second house yet. So let's just have a look at that. And for all those watching the recording, this is why it's super fun to come live because we get to go over your chart, and it's super cool to have everyone focusing in on it, and it's just kind of magical what can happen. And props to you all for coming, right? A lot of people said they were coming, and so you all showed up and you get the value, right? So thank you so much for being here and taking the time. Well, would you look at that? We got another Virgo on the second house. So many of y'all. Hey, Max. So the ruler of Virgo is Chiron, right? And so you'd have Chiron up in Aries in the 9th house. Oh, we already went over this. Travel and leadership and the head. You might want to look into access consciousness because access consciousness works on 32 points on the head. And you can do hands-on treatments with people, and it's like really powerful. And Yola does that, and I do it. And you can find access consciousness people in your area to like begin to transmute and release judgment as it's held in the cells of the body. And that's really powerful. But yeah, definitely the head. You know, it's interesting that you have Chiron in Aries because that can look like past lives that involved conflict and battle, like, and potentially like sharp objects. So
Like an arrow?
yeah, like an arrow. And so
I was
go ahead.
just looking with Aries, I was just quickly looking. It says Aries is like rules the head, but also the adrenal glands. Okay.
Yeah, you're often mentioning your adrenals.
Yeah, it's been my lifelong struggle with my adrenal glands.
So you might want to look in and ask yourself, is my Chiron wound related to, or is my adrenals related to my Chiron? My adrenal issue is related to a Chiron wound.
Okay.
Yeah. So tomorrow I'm going to teach you all how to muscle test. So you could start muscle testing and asking questions about your chart. Because in the course that I teach, we're definitely going to be learning how to not only read the chart, but then be able to ask and analyze and ask questions about our astrological chart and about our clients. And so, wow, I'm going to be marrying together healing and astrological chart reading. We're going to go deeper into identifying the parts of the body that can be seen through the astrological chart. How do you diagnose a body system issue? How do you start to muscle test what it could be? Is it this? Is it that? Okay, looking at purpose. It's going to be really full on. I've never done this together before, but I'm like, this is what's needed. We need more tools to assist people with their healing. So many people are struggling.
And lot of what came to mind because we both also finished this healing energy masterclass. That now with the Chiron, if you actually can pinpoint all these wounds,
Yeah.
this like opens the area of all the, maybe if you heal all these things first, that can clear out all the other stuff that's out there that you would be wasting your time going through. Meanwhile, you can go straight to the root of the Chiron, and if this is the wounded healer, then if you heal whatever that comes with, perhaps you can open up. That would be fascinating, right? If we can just go straight to the root. And so I have a question because I just Googled something. I just Googled Chiron in all different houses. And so when I look at this, it shows me that and I'm assuming because my Chiron is in 6th house, correct? And the 6th house for me is the Aquarius. However, here it says the 6th house is Virgo. Can you please just tell me so I don't get lost with that a little bit here?
So yeah, the 6th house is ruled by Virgo. So I'll
By
show you.
Virgo, exactly.
Yeah, check this out.
so it's true what you said here. Also, it's confirmed that it's the body image, it's debilitating perfectionism, people pleasing, distorted self-image, anxiety about people's judgment. So true for me, being
Yeah.
excessively critical of others, hypochondria. So so how I just sorry I jumped on, but that was just something I was, because it's for Angelique, for example, is a ninth house. So for her, it says it's Chiron in Sagittarius. So I was checking that, and it says fanatical or zealous beliefs, disruptive nomadic tendencies, aggressive or tactless communication style, chasing the high. So you see, I wonder if you go to these readings, how accurate are those from like online Chiron things, for example?
You gotta muscle test it.
Ah,
Really.
see, okay,
You
okay, okay.
you gotta tune in. I mean, if for those of you who don't know how to muscle test, you gotta tune in. Does this feel right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people writing so many things. Yeah, and not all of them are accurate. I've read things and I'm like, this isn't right. I'm like, this just isn't resonating, right? And so that's why, all the tarot card readers and all of the guides say, is this resonate with you?
Yeah, I would say that, you have such an incredible gift of talking about this stuff, your language, your approach, your interpretations. Like, if you actually, like, this is me, like a coaching kind of conversation, like, you should have that book out there, like, ASAP. Like, you really don't know how much amazingness you can get out there, because
Yeah.
you have just a gift, and this would open you with so many other opportunities.
Yeah, I have started writing it. I wrote quite a bit. But yeah, you're right. Just writing a basic book that talks about all these things, right? The signs and the houses and the
Yeah, just the
planets.
basic, because then you do the work that you do and people come for more. If you give
Yeah.
them everything in the book, they're not going to come. It's just that the basic, but the basic that will entice them, just like this challenge. Like, you see how many people have questions, right? And they want to know more. That's how I was. I just wanted to know more. That's why I went for it. And so, it's really interesting. But I was just curious about, if you, let's say, if you Google, right, and you go to different, and I just opened the first particular one. I don't even know what it is. But so you would then just check with the muscle testing if this particular reading or this website is correct. How would you just go about this?
Yeah, I would first check in with your body
Hmm.
and ask yourself, how does that feel when I read it? Does it resonate with me? Yeah. And if it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, then it's not the right thing for you. And then if you know muscle testing or you want to take it further with your intuitive skill development of discernment, then you can test, yes, this is accurate information for me. No, this does not resonate. Right. And that
Got
gives
it.
you further confirmation of the truth. Right. And that's what we're all seeking, really, is the truth.
Yep.
We're just seeking
All
that
right.
truth over and over and over again. So, yeah, go ahead, Angie.
I just wanted to get clarity because I know I'll get off the call and be like, I'm so confused. Just back with my second house, because it's ruled by, or like Virgo is in my second house, right?
Mhm.
Which is like money, making money and income.
Yeah.
And so we looked at Chiron, which is the ruler of Virgo. And so because it's up in, I know I asked this before, I just saying it's not syncing for whatever reason. So
Yeah.
Aries, like with the head, is that like, does that lead to point towards my Chiron wound or the
Yeah.
area for making money, or both?
They're connected. So,
So would I be on the right path because I'm doing the RTT and then this TFT healing, or is that like, am I
so
getting
what,
that?
so what you would test is my issues with making money are related to my Chiron wound,
Okay.
right? Now, if you wanted to learn more about the Chiron wound, or you wanted to learn more about Chiron being the ruler of your money house, the next step that you're going to do is simply see, okay, well, what planet rules Chiron? What planet rules Aries?
Hmm.
Hmm.
I forget.
Yeah, it's okay.
Mars, but no.
Yeah.
Was it Mars?
Yeah. So where do you have Mars? You have it in Leo, in the
Yeah.
12th house. So what
Yeah.
is the 12th house? It's intuition, it's psychic ability, it's meditation, it's the return into the self, right? If Aries is the birth, the 12th house is the return home,
Mm.
right? It's meditation, it's breath work, it's things that return you back inside. Yoga, right? Teaching yoga. Like you could shine teaching a meditation practice. Like you could make money teaching people to go within. So you really do that with the work you're doing with hypnosis, don't you? I mean, it's the house of hypnosis. It's the house of the subconscious. So utilizing energy, taking energy internal is a great way for you to make money.
Okay.
Now, if you wanted to open up the gates of your money house, then I would look at, oh, well, Chiron's the ruler. That tells me immediately that you could have a past life wounding around abundance and wealth of some kind. There's some kind of issue with making money, like a deep wound. And so you could simply ask that, right? And then clear it. And all right, yeah, these Chiron wounds are really, they're really profound and they are healable. And I am literally healing my Chiron wound right now. I figured out what it was. I've pinpointed it. And it is one of the most powerful experiences of my entire life. Just think about it. Chiron represents your deepest wound. Your deepest wound. Okay? So when you start healing it, what do you think happens? Your entire life is going to change. Because it's the transformation of your being. It's you shifting out of the pain and into a new reality and a new dimension.
Were you able to do that all with your own inner knowledge, or did you need somebody to help you find your shadow spots? Or both?
Well,
Was it
here's
a
the thing.
combination?
It's a combination. The
Okay.
thing is about working on ourselves is that it's a lot to do on our own.
Mhm, mhm.
It's a really, really lot to do on our own. And so once you identify the issue, once you pinpoint it by knowing the house and the sign, then watch out because the universe will start bringing you awarenesses. And then you begin a trail and a pathway to start discovering this information. Do you all want to hear my story? Or are you all done for the day? I can
Please
share.
share.
I'm up for it if you are.
Please share.
All right. I might tear up a little bit, so just please, I've never told this story publicly or shared it very much. And but I want it to hit home for y'all so that you can grasp the power of this and why I got so inspired to do this challenge, because I've been dealing with this issue my whole life. So I'm going to show you my chart. Whew. All right. So, I've been studying my chart for the last 10 or 20 years. And I always thought that the ruler of Virgo was Mercury. Yeah. So I always thought, okay, the ruler of my chart is in Pisces in the 7th house. For my entire life, I thought that. And I have been dealing with chronic, really bad pain in my throat, just horribly painful. And I have been speaking through it because I feel that what I have to share is more important than the physical pain. And it's been really painful. And I know that it's not just physical, if that makes sense. Like I know it's not a physical pain, it's like a deeply spiritual pain. That makes sense. Has anyone ever had that in their body? Like you knew it wasn't physical, it was like emotional, it was energetic. Okay. So 2 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, I was on Facebook and I read this post. I gotta find that post. And the woman reveals, she's like, this book someone wrote that actually Chiron is actually the ruler of Virgo. And I went, well, that means that the ruler of my chart, right? Because I have Virgo rising, the ruler of my whole chart, right? That's an important thing. What planet rules your rising sign? The ruler of my chart isn't Mercury anymore, it's Chiron. And I almost started crying because Taurus rules the throat. Taurus rules the throat. And I'd been having this pain for 10 or 20 years. No joke. Since 2009. Long time. Okay, 10, 12, 15 years. And so I started to do some inquiry into 3 questions. Is this a past life issue? Is this an ancestral issue? Is this a whatever, right? You start asking questions. And muscle testing. And that's where learning how to muscle test is so valuable and so important. And so by knowing what my Chiron was, I knew that my biggest issue in my throat, 1, because I could feel it. 2, because the ruler of my entire chart is Chiron in Taurus, the throat. So I started doing some investigation and some testing. And I worked with another healer to support me through it. And we started to do some testing. And I might cry a little bit, but I feel like you really need to hear what I have to share because it might speak to something really deep inside of you. How many of you have been healers and teachers and guides for many lifetimes and have felt blocked in expressing your healing abilities? Anyone out there? Yeah. So what I found was that in a past life, I had been an oracle. I had been a healer for my tribe. It was a Viking tribe. And I fell in love with a member of the opposite tribe. And I ran away for love. I left my village. I went to follow love, to follow my heart. And in those days, the authorities that be, that was not allowed to do that. To fulfill your gifts, you weren't allowed to do that. Because the tribe didn't want to lose their spiritual shaman to the other village. Just like, it's like these Greek mythology stories, right? And so I went to follow love. And I received a really intense punishment. And I'm sorry if this triggers anyone, and I'm sorry if this is intense or TMI or too much information. I feel like I really need to speak it, to share it with you all so I can keep healing and be authentic and in my truth. And so the punishment that they gave me was to cut out my tongue. And so for lifetimes, I have struggled to speak and to share my gifts with the world. For lifetimes. And I know that I'm here with every ounce of my soul to share my gifts with you all. I know because when I'm here with you, I'm so happy. And I know that I'm sharing my purpose with you all. I know. And I started healing what I went through in the depths of pain around being able to talk, about having a voice, about being able to speak has been the deepest wound in my life. And just 2 weeks ago, finding out about the rulership, I saw it and I was able to begin to heal. To heal something so deep that I don't think I ever thought I'd be able to heal. I didn't know why I struggled with speaking, why it hurt to talk. I didn't know why. And now, speaking to you all, you just helped me to heal even more, to share the pain of not being able to talk, to not be able to share my truth, to not be able to share my gifts. And how many of us went through something like this. How many of us have struggled to own our truth and bring our gifts to the world. And wherever your wound is, it affects you with the same intensity that mine has. And I know because I've gone through this. And that's why I did this 5-day challenge. Not because I felt like I was ready or that I could do the best 5-day challenge ever. I had to get this truth out there. I had to fucking talk. I had to talk to you all. I had to take back my voice. And I had to take back my ability to empower you all to stand in your power. And I thought if you could see me and what I am taking on and what I am standing for, that you too would be empowered to face your own challenges and to choose your own power. And so that is why I'm here. I can't tell you how scary it was to, with this humongous trauma to heal in my throat, get on there and invite you all to be in my 5-day challenge. And the depths of beauty of being able to share my pain and the pain I've been going through, you can hear it in my voice. And to finally reveal the truth of myself to you all. And reveal the truth that we all have this wound somewhere. I know we do. And I know after starting to begin working on it that it is healable. And it's the first time in my life I've known that I'm going to heal. I've known that it's going to happen. I've known this is it. I am healing this time. It's time for all of us to take back the power of who we are and to be able to speak who we are to the world. That's why I'm here. I called you all in so that we could go on this journey together and claim back the parts of ourselves that have been hurt and been wounded. And thank you so much for hearing my story. It's maybe the most difficult, painful story I've ever had to share. But your love and your presence. You guys, I was an oracle. I was so tuned in, and I am still. And I'm here to channel the divine gifts and blessings of creation to you all, to myself, and to this planet. And empower you all to tap into your own auricular, your own channeling abilities. And this is what's coming through now. I didn't plan on saying this, but through identifying and healing our greatest wound, then we can open up to our greatest power and our greatest abilities. And then we can assist the world, because everyone has this one point. And so the training I'm going to be leading is going to be entirely like super focused on that. How do we take the astrological chart to heal? How do we finally heal? And I know how now. And I knew it. I knew Chiron was the secret. I knew from so many people starting to cry when I would talk about it. But actually having all this stuff come up. Wow. And I walked out to the town I'm living. Maybe I'll make a video. And everyone looked like a freaking Viking. Like, I saw these young women, they had this long straight hair and these round faces. And there's like a misty and big trees, and it's kind of dark and like the mountains. And I realized like God had placed me here so I could heal, because it would remind me our soul and God is always leading us. I did not want to be here. Do you know how I've struggled with being here for so long? Like, I've been trying to run my ass away for like 10 years. Keep coming back. Why? To heal. And the other day, the first day after I'd really started healing this, I woke up so happy to be here for the first time and loving it and grateful. I couldn't believe it. I could just see God in everything, like all the trees and the leaves and the people. It's like they're all here for me. Like, I saw them all clapping for me, like they're all here for me to heal. And I know that in your own lives, that's the truth as well. Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me be vulnerable and share my story. And we're so much more than we realize. And we can use this chart to identify our deepest wound. And I wouldn't have been able to find it if I hadn't had my chart. You know, like, I just wouldn't have been able to like mentally follow the pattern to get to the point where I could ask and test. And I just want to thank you all for being here and being part of this journey. It's an incredible gift. And I'm really excited to now begin to assist others in identifying what is that deepest block? How do you find it? And one of the ways is through understanding astrology and understanding the signs and understanding the houses, so that you can it starts triggering something in you, right? And you think about, like, Angelique's going to be thinking about Aries, and a lot of you are going to think about Aquarius. What happened? What did you go through? So I want you all to be gentle with yourself in this process, because it took me like a year to finally start really getting to the point I am now. Okay. And so let your awareness be gentle. Try and take it slow. But we've just opened the pathway to some really potential powerful healing. And a lot of you, it relates to your second house, which relates to money, which relates to wealth and abundance and prosperity. And so you're kind of getting a 2-for-1 here. It's not totally fair, ladies. You get to clear your deepest wound and your money blocks all at once. Wow. How cool is that? So thank you. That was one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had, getting to share my story with you all. Thank you for letting me share it. And I hope that will inspire you all even more to the power of what astrology can do. I've known it for so long. I've known it so long. And to have this come out after, gosh, I was like 15, I'm 37 now. To have this knowledge finally come to the surface. After how many years of looking at the chart and thinking about the chart, which leads me to believe that Chiron has some magical abilities to help us heal. So now we know. I think everyone is grasping that. Yeah, a pretty powerful story, right? Yeah. Thanks for hearing it.
Thank you, Lois. That was beautiful sharing. And I see you, I hear you, I feel you, and yeah, it's definitely inspiring me to step up to the divine feminine time to balance the world.
We're needed. That's what I've been getting. Like, why am I having to go through this healing? It's like, because our femininity is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
There's conflict and there's challenges, darkness, and the light that will balance it is the love that's in us. Right? It's the
You know what came to mind when you were sharing your story? I also appreciate that, I mean, to be vulnerable like this, it's always like takes me back. I thought, and it'll be interesting to actually perhaps, because I don't know, my intuition lately is so on point that it's scary to the point that I've never been this dialed in like I'm lately. But you know what I was thinking when you were talking about your throat, about all this? Tongue is related, right? But perhaps you were even choked or hang or something that, was around your neck. That there was also maybe another lifetime, maybe you have multiple layers of that, because that deep, the
probably.
way you, because the way deep that is like you are like the epitome of some trauma that it's like oozing out of you. Like, and imagine when you get rid of all of this, like you'll be this lightness, you'll be like this fairy just above, just the lightness and goodness and truth and all that good, right? But
That's right. That's what's
so
coming.
all this, yeah, so all this stuff that's like holding you back, and you were like specifically talking throat. I'm like, oh my God, she probably was choked or maybe hanged by the head. I don't know, just terrible stuff.
Everything. Anything and everything you can think of was probably done to my beautiful throat.
Yeah, because you were saying stuff that was perhaps threatening people, because at that time or those times, these oracles, the people who they were just threats, because they knew stuff, they were powerful beyond beliefs, and people were scared of them, so they tried to destroy them, right?
Yeah. And so all of you healers, teachers, guides have this wounding, and it's probably the thing that's holding you back. Right? It's probably the thing that's holding you back from stepping into your brilliance. But look, you don't have to be fully healed to get out there and start sharing your gifts, do you? Like, I'm here. I still have
Yeah,
wounds that
exactly.
I'm healing, but I'm here. And you know why? Because this is how we heal. We have to step up before. This is how I'm healing, is by stepping the bleep up. You know what happened is I didn't have this awareness about my throat until I planned this 5-day challenge. I was getting ready for this 5-day challenge. And the weekend before it all came that this is going on because it brought it up. And so sometimes we have to take action that's bigger than we necessarily want in order to get to that next level. Right? And so, you know, wherever you're at, whatever you're going through, whatever layers you're transforming, you're perfect now. Yeah. You might have stuff to clear. We all have stuff to clear. Okay. But don't let that hold you back from giving, because it's when we give that we connect to God. Like we connect, we have to receive too, but there's something in just giving to the planet, to the world, to others that gets the energy moving. And sometimes if we just sit at home and we feel depressed and heavy and sad about how we're not getting out there, energy stops moving. So I just want to really encourage you all, whatever you're dealing with, you know, whatever other layers I haven't dealt with yet, whatever layers you haven't dealt with yet, it's okay. Take what comes now and use it. Yeah. And it just shows you can have gone through the craziest friggin' stuff and still show up with 6 people and be inspirational and empower them and get them excited. Utilize what you've been through for the gift that it is to assist other people. That's what Chiron is about. Taking your wound that's been your deepest pain and utilizing it to support others who maybe have a similar pain. So wherever you're at, whatever you're going through, you all have amazing gifts and talents. And I just hope that my sharing this will be an inspiration to you to know you can do it. You can do it. No matter what you've been through, no matter where you're at, you can do it. Yeah. We're all rock stars. You're doing great. Thank you for staying up so late. Sophie is going to sleep now. And have a nice 2-minute nap. Good night.
Okay, everything's off.
Okay. All right. So, can y'all hear that? Can you hear me? All right. So with that, I want to send you all my love. I love you all. Tomorrow we are going to look at those pinpoints of power. I mean, we got Chiron. I guess you can be done with Chiron, right? That's enough. Just study Chiron for the next couple of years. But we get bored. We're like, we're not gonna have some fun too, right? Chiron's kind of like the challenging part of the chart. So tonight we kind of addressed that. Yeah, we kind of got to started on the houses, but we got to really what's more important, which is Chiron, isn't it? We just kept coming back to Chiron. Houses you can find out about. Chiron needs some deep time to process. So I love you all. Any final questions or comments? I want to get you off the call so you can go home and go to sleep and have some dinner and all that. But I really love and appreciate you all. And, you know, Christine, Karen, Yola, Angelique, you all have been such huge supports in my life. And I want to, from the center of my heart, thank you. Because you haven't known, maybe you knew on some level, the demons I was fighting to get my work out there, to stand up and be heard. Something about that, like getting to talk, right? Getting to talk is such a friggin' gift. Really, like, I'm getting that. Because I know what it's like not to. We have our tongues, we have our voices, we have the ability to communicate. Let's freaking use them. Let's use our voices, okay? We have them. right, ladies, I love you lots, and I will see you tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Bring your questions. It's nice at the beginning of class, if you have questions that we can tap into them and answer them. Bring your takeaways, bring your ahas. It's really nice to share what y'all are thinking. Okay.
Thank you so much. Let us have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Thank you. You as well, my beautiful friends. So grateful for you all. Much love.
Love and light.
Aloha. Good night.
Thank you, Lotus. Bye bye.
Many blessings, many blessings.
You as well.